time to close the busy highway down to traffic.
The day after setting an April 15th date for former President Trump's first criminal trial, Judge Juan Merchan in New York has issued a gag order,
barring Trump from speaking about witnesses, prosecutors, court staff, and jurors. Trump faces 34 charges of falsifying business records to conceal hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. The defense team has argued any gag order would trample Trump's free speech rights.
Fox's C.B. Cotton. Now, before that gag order, the former president posted on Truth Social that the judge is a Trump hater whose daughter works for super liberal Democrats, so he will not be given a fair trial. A Trump-Biden challenger, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who left the Democratic Party to run as an independent, has picked tech entrepreneur Nicole Shanahan as his running mate, saying she believes, like he does,
health agencies work for Big Pharma. At the USDA works for Big Ag and the processed food cartels. At the EPA is in cahoots with the polluters.
Somebody in New Jersey suddenly filthy rich, hitting the Mega Millions jackpot worth about $1.1 billion, the eighth largest U.S. lottery prize ever. If the winner takes the cash option, it'll be around $537 million. America's listening to Fox News.
31 degrees at 5:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago Department of Public Health is taking new steps to contain a citywide outbreak of measles. As the number of measles cases continues to grow, city and health officials are encouraging residents of a Pilsen area migrant shelter to receive now a second dose of the MMR vaccine. State of Illinois has now logged 31 cases of measles, marking the first time in nearly a decade the state has seen cases in double digits. A group of 4 to 5 men are being linked to more than a dozen armed robberies on the west and northwest sides. First of 14 robberies happened the night of March 14th. The next 13 incidents all happened between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. on the 16th of March. Police have general descriptions of the men, but do not have suspects named. A Chicago high school student is accused of having a loaded gun in his locker on the city's west side. 19-year-old Marquise Terry has been charged with unlawful use of a weapon and possession of a stolen firearm. Police say the defendant was also caught smoking marijuana while on a field trip with the Association House High School. The principal then searched Terry's school locker, and a Glock pistol with a switch attachment was found. 2 Chicago hospitals are accused of ignoring claims of former patients of a disgraced gynecologist. Lawsuit has been filed against Endeavor Health on behalf of roughly 300 former patients of Dr. Fabio Ortega. Claims of abuse date back to the early 1990s. Illinois tollway officials are warning customers of a phishing scam targeting drivers. Text sent out to customers claim they have outstanding tolls due upon receipt, and then they're directed to a link to pay those fees. That is how hackers get access to personal funds and information. iPass customers are advised to ignore the text and report them to the tollway. More than 2,200 Chicago Park District workers are leaning towards staging a strike. Their union, SEIU Local 73, plans to petition Mayor Brandon Johnson, asking him to get involved in contract talks. The union seeking a pay hike for all staff, a $20 per hour starting wage, and access to health insurance for Park District employees. Several City of Chicago council members are talking about censuring one of their own after he appeared at a local rally where an American flag was burned. 25th Ward Alderman Byron Sigcho Lopez told media members he arrived at that event outside of City Hall after the flag burning. Protesters made their presence known Tuesday ahead of oral arguments at the Supreme Court over the medication mifepristone, used in about 60% of all abortions in 2023. It may become more difficult to obtain going forward if the court rules that moves by the FDA in 2016 and 2021 violated federal law. Dozens of pro-life activists made their voices heard outside of the world headquarters of Walgreens in Deerfield yesterday, led by Eric Scheidler.
Get out of the abortion industry. The United States Supreme Court, stop the unsafe distribution of these pills through telemedicine, through the mail, and at pharmacies.
In the loop, Planned Parenthood's Patricia Roundtree urged the court to rule in favor of current rules.
It is an outrage that a medication that the FDA approved over 20 years ago and has been safely used by more than 5 million people in the United States is now under attack.
The court could ultimately sidestep the issue by ruling that the plaintiffs do not have standing to bring that case. 4 Republican candidates for Indiana governor held a debate last night in Indianapolis, all 4 critical of President Biden on immigration. Brad Chambers and Eric Doden took shots at Senator Mike Braun for what they saw as inaction on the border crisis.
President Biden needs to do his job. I think Congress needs to do their job. And I'll point to Senator Mike Braun, who goes down to the border and cuts a TV commercial, tells us that he's bringing solutions to the problem, and just a few short days later then says, oh, well, let's not have solutions because of politics. And that's just not leadership.
Eric Doden. All the candidates were opposed to legalizing recreational marijuana, while Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch was quizzed on reducing or eliminating the gas tax in Indiana, but she has eyes on a bigger tax.
And I am certainly open to eliminating or lowering any tax here in Indiana. But as governor, I will lead the fight to eliminate the state income tax. We're going to axe the tax, put thousands of dollars back into hardworking men and women's pockets every year. Now, my opponents will say we can't do it, and it's a gimmick. What they're really saying is government needs more of your money, and you need less.
The primary election in Indiana is set for Tuesday, May 7. Jason Dickinson, a pair of goals. The Blackhawks beat Calgary 3-1 at the UC. Dickinson, by the way, a 20-goal scorer for the first time in 9 NHL seasons. Bulls try to shake off a 3-game losing skid when they go up against Indiana tonight. 2 days after the Bears kick off the preseason in Canton, Ohio, in the Hall of Fame game August 1st. Former Bears great Steve McMichael, Devin Hester, and Julius Pepper will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Cubs wrap up spring training with a 7-2 loss to the Cardinals. The News is a service of Remke's Garage. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. The shop at Remke's is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Remke's is your Sprinter, Diesel, and Toyo Tire headquarters. Visit remkesgarage.com and schedule your inspection. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
For the past 8 years, AM 560 has welcomed Dennis Prager to Chicago for a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, on Thursday, May 23rd, we welcome Dennis back for one final cigar night. Presented by Control Point Engineering. Join
without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you?
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
It's 5:11 on AM 560. The Answer. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Only one trouble spot this morning. I-80 roadwork problems westbound between I-55 and Shepley. Let's look at the roads, a service of Allstate. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Visit allstate.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies for this morning, then partly sunny, breezy by afternoon. A high today up to 45. It'll be clear and cold tonight, low 29. Sunshine, a little bit warmer tomorrow, the high 51. And then clouds and sun on Friday, the high 54. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
A chilly 31 right now. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answers starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
The most common form of treatment for the arthritic joints is normally cortisone injections and gel shots and over-the-counter medications. And most patients have tried all of that and are still in pain.
Every day, Dr. Aaron Wolkoff, a QC Kinetics medical director, meets patients who have exhausted every method to get relief. They've been told surgery is their only option.
They want to stay away from that path, and they come to us almost as the last hope. So we're using our own body's properties to help manage pain, to help slow arthritis down, keep the patients active with no downtime, and getting back to what they enjoy doing. I mean, I love what I do.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments from our board-certified providers help heal and restore aching joints. No surgery, harmful drugs, or downtime. Call for your free consultation today.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
This is Dennis Prager. Now you can listen to my show when it's convenient for you and without censorship from big tech. Become a member of the ultimate online community for all things Prager. It's Pragertopia Unlimited. Listen to every radio show over the last 10 years, all commercial free. You can even listen to all my Torah teachings for free. Join today and save 25% off the first year and get a free Pragertopia coffee mug. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to Spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's SPECTRIOS.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Freedom begins with you. Learn how to spot and call out corruption like the Edgar County Watchdogs do. On Saturday, April 13th, Breakthrough Ideas invites you to a training and panel discussion at the Abington Distinctive Banquets in Glen Ellen. Spend the morning interacting with Kirk Allen and John Kraft of the Edgar County Watchdogs. They'll discuss strategies and basics for keeping watch on your tax dollars in your community. You'll hear from Diane Benjamin, blogger for BLN News, Amanda Piker, a No Goshen activist, and Brittany Norwood, a Dalton whistleblower. Session is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon and includes training, discussion, and breakfast. Tickets are only $15 and are on sale now at breakthrough-ideas.com. You'll be immersed in the experience with like-minded people and learn some skills from other watchdogs. Freedom begins with you. Saturday, April 13th at the Abington, presented by Breakthrough Ideas. Go to breakthrough-ideas.com to buy tickets now.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed, inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you?
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I'm having a difficult time gauging what the interest is in RFK Jr.'s campaign among some erstwhile Trump voters. So I guess this will be one gauge. Did you pay attention to the big VP announcement for RFK Jr. yesterday? As anticipated, introducing Nicole Shanahan, Google co-founder Sergey Brin's ex-wife, as his running mate. 312-642.
Sorry, 312-642-5600. And our turnkey.pro text line is 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Wasn't your first reaction like, who's that?
No.
Did you know who she was?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good talk, and I'm just going to not talk for 4 hours. Go on.
Okay, good. So RFK's campaign kickoff started with a land acknowledgement ceremony. So when we've talked about RFK Jr. Before, we've mentioned, I understand the appeal because of the pox on both houses message he's offering. But then you have to actually peel back the layers and remember who RFK Jr. is on a range of issues. So, here's the kickoff before you got to RFK Jr., before you got to Nicole Shanahan.
California, Northern California, can I hear a oh? Oh!
That was on behalf of the Mwakma Ohlone tribe land acknowledgement ceremony to kick off VP announcement. The sort of land acknowledgement ceremony you might be treated to if you were wandering around the campus at UC Berkeley. Just a little bit of insight. Here's some more. Campaign video that was rolled before the speechifying. And this is, RFK Jr., of course, circumnavigating the country, talking to folks. That's what's profiled in the video, as is customary in these sorts of things. And the exchange between a RFK Jr. and black residents of some unnamed community, including one black woman who's wearing a mask while she decries racism in food deserts and racism as the cause of food deserts in black neighborhoods.
It's an organic farm in the middle of what people would call a blighted community.
The things that we're dealing with as black people in our communities is a result of racism, redlining, all those different things that kept our communities at ill health. The food is sick that our community is getting because it's coming from big ag.
African American communities are food deserts. You cannot get good food here. You look at what black kids are eating. They're drinking big gulp Coca-Colas.
So it's, right buying into the identitarian politics. There's not a economic and public safety reason for the food deserts that exist in urban centers. We recall just a couple of weeks ago, since this took place in Oakland, that Oakland resident who was acting as a citizen journalist, documenting all of the restaurants and businesses, black woman, by the way, closed or closing, including a Walmart, including an In-N-Out Burger. And by the way, they have, fast food in big gulps in the suburbs, too. So it just speaks to a certain mentality, a certain mindset, a certain understanding of what's going on in this country and the problems that beset urban centers. And to platform racism as the sort of singular or fundamental cause, I think is a tell. So that's sort of who RFK really is, RFK Jr. really is and has been for the past 50 years, as opposed to sort of the RFK that has some appeal because he makes statements like this, which are not inaccurate, in his intro of Nicole Shanahan.
Those policies that both of them engineered transferred $4 trillion from the middle class to this new oligarchy of billionaires. They created 500 new billionaires in 500 days, a billionaire a day. Today, together, they ran up a greater debt than all previous presidents combined since George Washington. Two men with a single term in office each. Now, they don't want us talking about those things. They want us instead to hate each other, to fear the other guy. But to young Americans, they look like two sides of the same coin. If we vote for either of them again, we can expect, and we will deserve, more of the same. The annihilation of our middle class, the further impoverishment of working poor, more chronic disease, more epidemics, more environmental destruction, more debt, more war, and fewer constitutional rights.
So some of that is sort of center-cut populism, the sort of populism you might hear from Donald Trump, that he's trying to turn against Trump, and Biden, obviously, as a beltway creature, is a different story. But he's not wrong. Some of his criticisms of Trump, where he folds into his distillation of what happened during the pandemic, right? And it is worth noting, to be fair, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya from Stanford was one of the speakers at RFK's VP announcement yesterday. So I'm not saying he doesn't have credibility with respect to his criticisms of COVID, but frankly, that's the easy part. When you get into what he actually wants to do, believes, and I think most Trump voters actually have sussed this out. This is why RFK Jr.'s presence in this race is a net benefit to Trump, according to all the polling that we've seen thus far. Trump expands his lead with RFK Jr. in the race. So Nicole Shanahan, 38-year-old attorney, actually grew up in the Oakland area. It came from a sort of a troubled family background that she went through in some detail. But in terms of her value proposition when we talk of all the doctors that we've talked to, medical public health professionals we've talked to during the last 3 years, well, into the fourth year now as we're doing the postmortem on COVID, nobody's anti-vax categorically. It's a case-specific thing based on the science. But that's not where Del Bigtree is. And I'm not sure that's where RFK Jr. is. And I'm not sure that's where Nicole Shanahan is. There's a little bit of a Jenny McCarthy in Nicole Shanahan. She has a daughter, does Nicole Shanahan, with her ex-husband. And I understand from her announcement speech that her daughter is got an autism diagnosis. And so she's talking about pharma in that context. You can be opposed to the therapeutic state, and you can have grave concerns about big pharma, which I do, and not take it all the way to ideological anti-vax land. This was sort of center cut of her remarks yesterday at the VP rollout. Listen to her focus.
There are three main causes. One is the toxic substances in our environment, like endocrine disrupting chemicals in our food, water, and soil, like the pesticide residues, the industrial pollutants, the microplastics, the PFAs, the food additives, and the forever chemicals that have contaminated nearly every human cell. Yes, and it makes you angry to hear this. It makes me angry to say it because we shouldn't be here right now. Second is electromagnetic pollution. You don't hear politicians talking much about that either, but it is something we need to look at. As Bobby says, we need to investigate every possible cause of chronic disease epidemic that is devouring our nation from the inside. Third, I'm sorry to say, is our medications. Pharmaceutical medicine has its place, but no single safety study can assess the cumulative impact of one prescription on top of another prescription and one shot on top of another shot on top of another shot throughout the course of childhood. We just don't do that study right now, and we ought to.
Yeah, okay. Oh, by the way, she also has been a previous donor to Mayor P. Butt, to Joe Biden, and to George Soros-backed DA in L.A., George Gascon. So, if you think this third party, the RFK third party, is sort of the Revolt 2.0, if Trump was Revolt 1.0, yeah, I don't think so.
Well, RFK, he's polling in double digits in Arizona, Wisconsin, and Nevada.
There's some
I don't think this is going to help him, though.
there's some populist notes to his candidacy, but if you actually look at where they're coming from a very strange place. I won't go so far as to say like degrowth, deindustrialization, but it was an odd announcement when all of the things that afflict Americans in everyday life and challenge our country, including the border, which there was nary a mention of. Even though I know RFK Jr.'s gone down there, but just in terms of where they devoted so much of their energy on chronic disease and esoteric references to chemicals. And I'm all for clean water and clean air and all of that. Of course, everybody is. And you can have that conversation, but it's just weird to make that the centerpiece of what you're saying, and particularly as you're rolling out somebody that most people have never heard of. It was odd. But RFK Jr. is a little odd.
Yeah, it's weird. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, well, that was a short-lived contributor gig for Ronna McDaniel, former RNC chairwoman. 5:38.
Yeah, what lasted longer, her gig at NBC or Anthony Scaramucci as the White House spokesperson. But now we'll head into the newsroom. Mike Scott, how are you doing? Did you report the Iowa Hawkeye score yesterday when we beat West Virginia?
No.
Okay.
It's a local Iowa story.
All right. So it was a Big Ten championship.
It's a local Iowa story.
That was the most watched Big Ten championship ever. But okay.
Local Iowa story.
Well, yeah.
See the newsroom standard operating procedures, and then we'll talk. 5:33 on AM 560, The Answer. Israeli military says 30 rockets were launched from Lebanon toward northern Israel Wednesday morning. Hezbollah took responsibility for the launches and said they were in response to an Israeli airstrike. Divers returning to Baltimore Harbor this morning to look for 6 people presumed dead after a cargo ship hit a major Maryland bridge.
At this point, we do not know where they are, but we intend to give it our best effort to help these families find closure.
Maryland Secretary of State Police Colonel Roland Butler, the search for the missing workers was suspended on Tuesday night. Trade experts fear the Baltimore bridge collapse could be disruptive to global supply chains. Last year, over 47 million tons of foreign cargo passed through Baltimore Harbor. Finally, a winner in the Mega Millions lottery. A winning ticket sold in New Jersey matched all 6 numbers Tuesday night. NBC News dropping former RNC chair Ronna McDaniel, facing some pushback from personalities at NBC. The New York judge presiding over Donald Trump's upcoming hush money trial is imposing a gag order on the former president.
The presiding judge in the criminal case against former President Donald Trump now barring Trump from speaking about witnesses, prosecutors, court staff, and jurors. Trump faces 34 charges of falsifying business records to conceal hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. The defense team has argued any gag order would trample Trump's free speech rights. On Monday, the former president raging against one of the prosecutors in the case, Matthew Colangelo, after a judge ruled the trial would go on.
The order prohibits Trump from publicly commenting on witnesses, prosecutors, and court staff as the trial is scheduled to begin April 15. Chicago Department of Public Health is taking new steps to contain a citywide outbreak of measles. As the number of measles cases continues to grow, city and health officials are encouraging residents of a Pilsen area migrant shelter to receive a second dose of the MMR vaccine. Illinois has so far logged 31 cases of measles. Chicago high school student is accused of having a loaded gun in his locker on the city's west side. 19-year-old Marquise Terry has been charged with unlawful use of a weapon and possession of a stolen firearm. And Illinois tollway officials are warning customers of a phishing scam targeting drivers. Texts sent to customers claim they have outstanding tolls due upon receipt. Victims are then directed to a link to pay those fees, which is how the hackers get access to personal funds, and Peppers will be inducted into the Hall. Cubs open up the regular baseball season at Texas tomorrow. Sox get underway with a home game against the Tigers. The news, a service of McGrath Lexus in Westmont and Chicago. Experience the next level of excellence at McGrath Lexus in nearby Westmont in downtown Chicago. When you do the math, you'll choose McGrath. View new and pre-owned inventory online at McGrathLexus.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Doesn't see hope in the next generation.
Maybe other generations were doing this. I find it more apparent in young people. They're unequipped for success in America. They do not know how to multitask. They do not know how to think on the go. They're unequipped. And I think it's the lack of fathers, the lack of leadership and mentorship.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Sometimes the most compelling stories come from the most unexpected places. Picture this. You're just a 14-year-old boy, abruptly awakened by a solemn priest at your boarding school. Your father's been shot, and you're rushed to his side in Los Angeles. But as you stand by his bedside, witnessing his final moments, you can't shake the memories of another tragedy years before when your uncle, the president, met a similar fate. As you journey back, the train moves sluggishly, every inch weighed down by a nation mourning your father's loss. Life throws curveballs, and for Robert Kennedy Jr., it was a journey marked by highs and lows. His story is one of resilience, tragedy, and redemption. The Real RFK Jr., the most important documentary of the year. Witness his incredible journey and his legacy. For a limited time, watch it free at therfkmovie.com. The Real RFK Jr., a story that needs to be told. Visit therfkmovie.com now.
For armed or unarmed security, average isn't good enough. You deserve more. You need more.
Morrison means more.
Morrison Security. More deterrence and prevention with customized programs that fit your budget. Cost-effective, sensible solutions for all businesses and facilities.
Morrison means more.
More peace of mind, knowing your security guards are well-trained professionals with a track record of getting results and serving exactly your needs. Morrison Security personnel are constantly trained for readiness and are prepared for any given situation that can occur at a job site.
Morrison means more.
More reliability of management for quick and effective solutions at your property. Morrison Security is responsive. They are always available to you.
Morrison means more.
More awareness of any challenges you face with protecting people, property, and assets. For armed and unarmed security, don't settle for substandard or average. Security is too important. Contact them and find out how you can get more. MorrisonSecurity.com. MorrisonSecurity.com.
Morrison means more.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at Navage.com.
5:39. Let's get an update on the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Kennedy inbound at 19, O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Eisenhower outbound, accident left lane blocked with injuries outbound near First Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast in the QC Kinetics Weather Center. Chilly with abundant sunshine today. High of 45. Clear and cold 29 overnight. 31 at O'Hare, 32 at Midway. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Rhonda McDaniel was in for one weekend as an NBC contributor, and now she's out. But before we even get back to her, because we discussed it a bit yesterday, KJP is instructive in this conversation because she is a dimwit who is not particularly adept at understanding public policy, communicating succinctly, but she's got a high identitarian score. So she's the White House spokeswoman, and she's a future MSNBC talk show host, just like her predecessor, Jen Psaki. It's a nice landing spot for these leftist ignoramuses. I mean, that's the whole lineup, isn't it? Certainly the primetime lineup. So KJP was on a North Carolina radio show to pitch the wares of the big guy and the administration. North Carolina, swing state, or at least it better be for Biden. If it's not, he's in trouble. This talk show host named Mark Garrison had a couple of questions for her that you would think would be unsurprising, but she took deep offense. One was about Biden's health, not exactly a curveball. The other about Bidenflation, also not a curveball.
When I told a number of people that I was talking to you today, it was interesting, though. They all said, would you please just ask her, does the president have dementia? And so before I move on from that, does he?
Mark, I can't even believe you're asking me this question. That is an incredibly offensive question to ask.
But you know people ask it.
Wait, no. You, Mark, you're taking us down this rabbit hole. Let me be very clear about this. For the past several years, the president's physician has laid out in a comprehensive way the president's health. This is a president, if you watch him every day, if you really pay attention to his record and what he has done, you will see exactly how focused he's been on the American people, how historic his actions has been. And so I'm not even going to truly really, take the premise of your question. I think it is incredibly insulting, and so we can move on to the next question.
Gas prices and grocery prices, then big topics here in North Carolina. How does Mr. Biden win votes when people don't have as much disposable income?
Look, the president understands. He grew up in a middle-class family, working-class family in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He gets it. He understands how difficult it is for Americans who are sitting around their kitchen table every month trying to figure out what they're going to pay for. You have to remember when the president walked into this administration, there were multiple crises happening. There was COVID. There was the economy was in the tailspin because of the last administration, because of what the President Trump left us with. Now you're asking me about gas prices. The president took action on gas prices. Let's not forget Russia's invasion on Ukraine skyrocketed prices of gas. And because the president took action, we are in a different place than we were a year ago on gas prices. Eggs, milk, seafood products, all the important groceries, those costs have gone down because of what this president has been able to do. And with that, thank you so much, Mark. Have an amazing, amazing day.
Wow.
Oh.
She hung up. Wow. I mean, Mark, listen, I am nominating you to get a press corps badge, and you need to go to the White House. I'm sorry, but you asked 3-4 incredibly salient, important questions that are all front of mind, nothing out of bounds, no baba-booeying or anything like that, right? And you did it exactly right on. And I don't understand the fragility of this person.
I don't understand the fragility of the person. That's why you had to hear the whole thing. I don't understand the fragility of this person. It's such an insight into the Ronna McDaniel story and the story of the D.C. press corps. Why do they throw temper tantrums if they are asked? I mean, first of all, hardly probing interview. Come on, does the president really have dementia? Come on, what's up with inflation? I mean, they're basically prompts to give your response to something that is roiling this administration. You know, supermajorities on both issues. Supermajority thinks the president is diminished, and a supermajority blames the president for the fact that they need 20% more money in 2024 just to pay for what they paid for in January of 2021, and they don't have it.
Right.
They're prompts. They're prompts to offer your talking points.
It's supposed to be scripted and framed to make them look good. And that's not what, but that's reality. And the fact that she hung up on him, I mean, come on. She's horrible at her job. We all know that, but it's so it's just so telling of that administration.
But it was essentially scripted. It's basically these two issues that have been talked about ad nauseum and will continue to be, go. I mean, you couldn't have an easier setup to try to do some damage control, some spinning on issues that plague the administration. And instead, she gets indignant because of what his cohort said at the end. I don't understand why she is so fragile. They are so fragile. Why? Because they have lived a life where they don't have to confront viewpoints that are not theirs.
We got a text message,
and certainly professionally now, they can completely ignore anybody who attempts to present a viewpoint that isn't theirs.
They say
Thus,
text message, liberals can't answer tough questions, but those weren't tough questions.
Well, exactly. So,
Not at all.
But so now you understand the temper tantrum. I mean, if it wasn't obvious before, that to me, it in large measure explains the temper tantrum over Ronna McDaniel. We've been spending all this time saying Trump and Trump world are election deniers and threats to our democracy. And then you're going to bring one of these election deniers / threats to our democracy in our house where we're going to have to speak to them. We don't deign to speak with them. They are not legitimate. We don't recognize them as Americans who have any place in civil discourse because they attempted to overthrow the government. They attempted to overthrow an election. They are attempting to steal our democracy. They are attempting to institute the Fourth Reich. And since that position, since that is the position they've taken, and they're in a position where they do not have to entertain opposing viewpoints, they do not have to defend that position, they just have to repeat it, then of course they're not going to allow even a pathetic example of a Republican communicator in Ronna McDaniel in their house, because she's already been branded. She's illegitimate. Everyone associated with that man and that position is illegitimate. We will not platform people that we believe are illegitimate, which is to say people who disagree with us. And so they don't. They have House Republicans. House-broken Republicans, the Mitt Romneys of the world, and the Michael Steeles,
Kinsingers,
and the Adam Kinsingers, who will go along with their premises, will properly decry Trump, will throw up their hands and say, "I don't recognize my Republican Party," and that is those are the parameters of discourse. They are, the width of a checkbook. And that's how they like it. So Ronna went. And by the way, and by the way, it's a reminder, all this, some news, we're talking about this yesterday. Oh, some news director better tell them that I'm your employer and this and that. You have the power relationship reversed. If you think that some news director, some general manager is going to tell you that's like saying some coach, some general manager better tell LeBron James or some other NBA superstar, this is what time it is on this team. You don't understand who's in charge of these organizations anymore.
Well, times have changed, and clearly the talent won in this, and here was the big announcement.
NBC News leadership has announced that former RNC chair Ronna McDaniel will not be an NBC News contributor. We have a new email and update that's come out just within this hour. So this is sort of breaking news here within our organization on a story that has garnered significant attention and criticism. And what I'm going to do now, to be very clear, is read the entire update from NBC Universal News Group chairman.
Why am I listening to this? Why am I listening to Ari
Because you're not
Melber?
now, because it's off. But it was just how high and mighty they think they are. Like,
they
there's
report
3
on
days
themselves.
of hell. Yes.
They report on themselves. They're the center of the attention. You would think they'd actually want a Ronna McDaniel because as we said yesterday, based on her performance on Meet the Press, should probably announce that she's leaving the Republican Party and becoming a Democrat in about 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
So maybe when she does that, they'll invite her back. But otherwise, there's probably somebody else. I mean, she can whore herself out to some other outlet, I'm sure.
Well, she signed a $300,000 deal that she's getting that $300,000 for 3 days' work. Good for her. I mean, I just still, it's Mitt Romney's niece. I mean, it's not like they were hiring a Trump family member or Ivanka Trump or Don Jr. They just got their panties in a bunch over nothing.
I don't know how to explain this. She's the RNC chairwoman.
I know, and she had
that title. She was she was a good soldier to the extent she has the capacity to be a good soldier on some of these issues. Certainly, that's what they thought. Thus, Kristen Welker, would you like to apologize for propping up Donald Trump's lies about the 2020 election? Would you like to apologize, Kristen Welker, for perpetuating the Russian collusion hoax? No, she didn't push back with that. She starts from now I'm my own person, and, you have to be a team player and blah, blah, blah. She's awful. You would think they would want her because that's what they like. They like awful, perceived Republican contributors to give the pretense of robust discussion, of a broad spectrum of opinion. It's nothing of the sort. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, the only questions that should be asked about Biden is how do they keep up with such a dynamo?
That's exactly right. And is it true that he's a tiger in the sack? That's right. Those are the questions. Those are the questions. How? Right. He's dizzying. He's exacting. He is. Right. He's just a 24/7 bundle of energy. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go,
keep
Joe.
Up with him. Yeah.
Scott and Aurora, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I find it hilarious. They hire McDaniels, and there's a big uproar. But whenever these corporations hire a government official, there's nothing to be said. So it just shows you how in bed they are with these government officials.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The big government press corps. Well, of course they're going to welcome in, former functionaries of the big government. Something else, though, too. Why does Ronna McDaniel want to be an NBC contributor? Why does the Republican Party indulge Face the Nation and Meet the Press and the Stephanopoulos show, particularly after the Nancy Mace episode, but even before that? Why? This is the problem with Republicans. They so want to be part of the ecosystem within the old corporate media, the big government press corps. They so want to be platformed by them. They so want to be part of that in crowd, taken seriously, have their turn on these TV shows. Why? In service of what?
I don't know. Maybe she needed a job. I don't know.
Please, Ramaswamy had it right. Right. She's starving. Yeah, if she's going to have to get one of those migrant EBT cards from New York City, Mayor Eric Adams, if she doesn't take the NBC contributor gig. I mean, give me a break. What are you talking about? She needs a job. She doesn't need a job.
Maybe
Any
she
old
wants
job.
to work.
Yeah,
I
good.
mean,
Good. Now focus on the actual question, not about whether she can work, about why NBC, why one of these antagonistic, old media, new Marxist-controlled outlets. Why would you want to be in service to them? How is that advancing the Republican Party flag by conferring your legitimacy onto them as an even-handed outlet, as a provider of fact and a platformer of diverse opinion? None of that is true, but I'm going to go on and play my role in this pantomime to defraud half the country into believing it's true. Right. That's what I thought.
Well, I mean, maybe they were going to change. They wanted an opposing view. And then all of a sudden, everybody freaked out about it. But it's a graphic reminder and a good reminder to people that they don't care about Republicans. They don't care about the whole story. And another reminder why you cannot trust the mainstream media and you cannot trust
So
NBC
why would you
or
defend
ABC?
anyone who wants to get a gig there to further this charade based on what you just said? How do you defend Ronna McDaniel? She doesn't know that? We don't all know that? Why waste your time?
Maybe she was naive and thought that this was,
She's
time
the
for a change.
former RNC chairwoman. Are you kidding?
Well, they took
She
Michael
didn't- she
Steele
didn't-
and he
she
became a
didn't-
Democrat. So maybe they
This
thought
is
they
my
could
point.
do the same thing with her.
This is you have it exactly right. You have it exactly opposite. I'm not asking what MSNBC's interest is. I'm asking what Ronna McDaniel's interest is. She's naive. She's a babe in the woods. Really? She hasn't been around for the last 8 years? She's not an adult? She has no recognition of what's going on? That's your defense? That's not a defense.
I didn't say that. I don't know what's going on in her head. I don't know what her personal motives were to doing this. I don't know. I don't know the woman.
I don't care what her motives were. It is the wrong play. And I'm not just talking about her. I'm talking about any Republican. What was the conversation we had after the Nancy Mace Stephanopoulos episode? Now, Republicans, Nancy Mace, I'm never going on there again. No, now you're not. Why were we going on there in the first place? Why are you party to your opposition? This is like when Republicans provide donations to Democrats. Oh, well, he's a different kind of... That's in furtherance of your enemy. Why are you financing your enemy? Your political enemy. That's what they are. And so is the old corporate media outlets. Why are you furthering their agenda? How does that make any sense? Kevin in Austin, Texas.
The only reason NBC has a Republican on are three: to embarrass them, to have them flip on another Republican, or have them go through a struggle session. Any Republican. That's what they do every time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And now they had another bite at the apple. Ronna McDaniel, illegitimate, part of a Republican Party that tried to steal the 2020 election, that tried to overthrow the government and blah, 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 that flax for January 6th insurrectionists and so on and so forth. And we got rid of her. Everybody give me a high five. Participate. Because they cut it up and put it on social media where it gets a little attention among people that are otherwise inclined to despise Republicans and be as intolerant of diverse viewpoints as the Morning Joe cast. It absolutely makes no sense. And Ronna McDaniel is the latest installment of that. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
In a big city like Chicago, we all know that there are challenges, especially for children. But behind the staggering statistics we often hear about, there are real kids who need support to overcome these barriers. That's what By the Hand Club for Kids is all about. By the Hand Club for Kids is a faith-based, nonprofit organization serving children in some of Chicago's most under-resourced neighborhoods, places like Austin, Englewood, Cabrini Green, and Altgeld Gardens. By the Hand Club for Kids runs after-school programs for children that nurture their minds, their bodies, and their souls. Right now, By the Hand Club for Kids is serving nearly 1,800 children, and we need your help. Your one-time gift of just $120 will provide a day of after-school programming for 2 children. Or you can become a club champion and give a monthly gift of just $40, which will provide for 8 children in the next year. Give that gift today by going to bythehand.org/radio. That's bythehand.org/radio.
This is Chicago's election.
To navigate through, it's sharp and very dangerous.
Fox's Connor Hansen's in Baltimore.
Now, this is also bound to create both travel issues locally and economic issues around the world. The port of Baltimore is the 9th busiest in the country, with huge amounts of freight coming through.
The federal appeals court has just extended its hold on Texas's controversial border law, still blocking the state now from allowing police to arrest migrants who cross from Mexico illegally. The Supreme Court's considering a challenge to the FDA's approval of the abortion drug mifepristone. Justices at a hearing like Sonia Sotomayor appeared skeptical.
Even if there is some increase in emergency room visits, the question of when that rises to a sufficient safety risk is up to the FDA.
Another gag order for former President Trump. Less than 3 weeks before the start of his New York criminal trial, the judge barring him from talking about witnesses or prosecutors or court staff or their families. The Trump campaign says it's blocking his free speech. A Trump-Biden challenger as a running mate. Independent Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s picked lawyer Nicole Shanahan.
Shanahan is still a registered Democrat, but says they are running as independents because the Democratic Party has lost its way.
I worry for the party's overwhelming interest in elitism, celebrity, and winning at all costs.
Democrats are worried that the third-party bid could possibly sink President Biden's re-election efforts.
Fox's Brooks Singman. America's listening to Fox News.
31 degrees in Chicago, 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The Chicago Department of Public Health taking new steps this morning to contain a citywide outbreak of measles. As the number of measles cases continues to grow, city and health officials are now encouraging residents of a Pilsen area migrant shelter to receive a second dose of the MMR vaccine. State of Illinois so far has logged 31 cases of the measles. as of this writing. Group of 4 to 5 men are being linked to more than a dozen armed robberies on the west and northwest sides. Police have a general description of the men. No suspects have been named from the robberies that happened the night of March 14 and a majority of the incidents on the 16th. Chicago high school student is accused of having a loaded gun in his locker on the city's west side. 19-year-old Marquise Terry has been charged with unlawful use of a weapon and possession of a stolen firearm. A Chicago woman is dead after a crash on the south side. Happened yesterday morning around 7:40 in the 11,000 block of South Halsted. More than 2,200 Chicago Park District workers are leaning towards staging a strike. Their union, SEIU Local 73, plans to hand a petition to Mayor Brandon Johnson asking him to get involved in contract talks where they're seeking pay increases for all staff and greater access to health insurance. Chicago sports. Blackhawks beat Calgary 3-1. Bulls take on the Pacers tonight. Cubs wrap up spring training with a 7-2 loss to the Cardinals. Regular season opener at Texas tomorrow, while the White Sox get underway with a homer against the Tigers. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says it's obvious what the left wants.
I don't even know if I care what the process is that these judges are arriving at. Whatever it is, it's flawed.
I don't care about the process. They might as well just come out and admit they don't want any rules to apply. They don't want any common sense. They don't want any justice. They want him financially and politically destroyed.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. In an exclusive, Newsweek reports that the FBI has targeted Donald Trump's supporters. It's created a new category of so-called extremists to track, MAGA supporters. No decent person condones the Capitol riots of January 6 of 2021. But since then, Joe Biden and the government class painted not just Donald Trump, but also his supporters as a terror threat to our country. That's wrong. The FBI insists it doesn't investigate ideology. But given its recent history, from investigating Catholic churches to the over-the-top treatment of abortion protesters and parents at school board meetings, it no longer deserves the benefit of the doubt, especially when Antifa receives no similar treatment. For the first time in our nation's history, supporters of a president's opponent have been specifically singled out for law enforcement surveillance. It's an ugly, dangerous, and profoundly un-American precedent.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
AMAC is the Association of Mature American Citizens, an organization who's not only dedicated to America's seniors, but is vital for conservatives of all ages. AMAC stands out by not only advocating for senior issues, but also by pushing for conservative values that affect us all. By joining, you're not just supporting our senior citizens, you're part of a movement defending our freedoms and securing our nation's future. Plus, membership brings you exclusive benefits like discounts on travel, dining, entertainment, and special insurance rates. freedoms. Regardless of your age, if you're driven to preserve freedom, AMAC welcomes you. This is about uniting youthful vigor with wisdom of experience in our quest for conservative principles. Sign up now at amac.us/fight. And for a limited time, get a free gift membership for someone who shares your love for our great nation. Don't miss out on this chance to make a difference with AMAC. Join today at amac.us/fight and extend the invitation to a friend or family member for free.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Kennedy inbound, 26 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike outbound, stop and go traffic from downtown all the way out to Manheim. We'll explain why. You've got a vehicle fire just west of Manheim on the outbound side of the Ike, and outbound between Central and First. You have had a major accident that's just been removed out of your way, and things are returning to normal, but then you run into that outbound vehicle fire further out, and delays are expanding this morning. Accident, Dan Ryan, inbound off-ramp to Taylor this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies for this morning, then partly sunny, breezy by afternoon. A high today up to 45. It'll be clear and cold tonight, low 29. Sunshine, a little bit warmer tomorrow, the high 51. And then clouds and sun on Friday, the high 54. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Cloudy and 31 right now. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Here's two headlines that are interesting. 44% of Americans can't pay an unexpected $1,000 expense. 44% of Americans cannot pay an unexpected $1,000 expense.
I can believe that because nobody has money in their checking account anymore because everything is so flippin' expensive and gas is expensive. Groceries, you know the list of items, and it's not getting better anytime soon. And then you see what Eric Adams is doing is giving $1,400 prepaid cards to people who are here illegally. Americans could use that money. But
yes,
anyways,
that's the other headline. New York City begins handing out prepaid debit cards to migrants in controversial program. $53 million worth of debit cards.
They'll be loaded weekly with about $350 for a family of four with two young children under the age of 5. The city says in working with the New Jersey-based vendor called Mocify, the cards will only be able to be used at bodegas and grocery stores and only will be able to use to buy food and baby supplies. This will be very similar to SNAP, also known as food stamps, where you pay with a preloaded card at a store. Critics of the migrant response and of this particular plan have raised concerns about the potential for this to be rife with fraud and waste and abuse. City officials say if it's fully expanded, it will actually save about $600,000 a month and give migrants more flexible food options. And on top of that, push money back into the local economy as opposed to some big food vendor contract.
Yeah, I want migrants to have more flexible food options.
So there's not going to be any waste, fraud, and abuse. No, of course not. We know how well the welfare programs are administered in this country. There's no trafficking in EBT cards or anything of the sort. Sure. And it's all food and diapers, of course it is. In addition to that, this is a way to infuse money into the local economy. I mean, this is just fascinating. And because people are economically illiterate, as Nancy Pelosi famously said, welfare checks are stimulant. That's a way to stimulate the economy, is transfer of wealth. The fundamental misunderstanding is so deep, I refuse to go back as far as I need to go back to try to get anybody who believes that up to speed. But regardless, the best part, of course, this is a savings. spending $53 million is on people here illegally is saving New York City taxpayers money.
Right.
Ann Williams-Issam is a deputy mayor. She provides further explanation.
Saving New Yorkers $600,000 a month is a smart thing to do. Yay. Saving New Yorkers $7.2 million a year is a smart thing to do. Making sure that we are decreasing waste is a smart thing to do. Making sure that we've put in guardrails so that people can only use it for food and baby supplies. So if you try to go to Bloomingdale's and use it for shoes, it will be rejected. If there are things that we see where people abuse it, we can take the card back.
That's good enough for me, and this is important to know because 3, 2, 1, it will start in Chicago in about 5 seconds. We can guarantee it.
Yep, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. First, they're going to butter us up with, well, we're giving you your park districts back. And then, they're going to do that. They're going to give them money while people are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. People who have never lived paycheck to paycheck are for the first time in their lives. And I think they're getting sick of this, that if you break a law and come into this country, that we're going to pay for everything. I mean, Dan, the people that are in hotels are getting linen changes. Like they put the sign out their door if they want their bed made or not.
Well,
or if they need new fresh towels. They get 3 meals a day. It's sickening.
Well, that's what do you mean?
No,
what are you doing when you stay in a hotel?
Well, I do that if I need them changed, but I'm just saying that we're giving them. Yeah, but I'm also paying $300 for that hotel room.
I understand, but what do you want? What do you want the hotel staff to do? You want them to give them 3 floggings a day? I mean, what?
I don't know. I mean, you want them to maintain their jobs. That's a good point, but it's just this is not how immigration process should work. My grandpa came here with a bag and $20 and a pack of cigarettes during the Depression and made do, and didn't get any handouts at all from the government. Nothing. And made a life for himself, like I'm sure your ancestors did and everybody else's who did it the right way. So it's kind of like a slap in the face for people who are following the rules.
Well, here's the thing. These migrant debit cards for migrants and these phony evictions. Oh, March 16th, we're getting serious. You can't stay forever, blah, blah, blah. And then they do the dance of the migrants and move them around to different places.
Right.
Just, again, with the pronouncements of we can't handle, we need more federal help. The suburbs or other states have to pick up the slack here. That's all a lie. They want the Biden buddies, and they're keeping them. Right? That's clear now to everybody? They want them, and they're keeping them. The protest stations, notwithstanding Greg Abbott's heartless, he's playing politics with human lives, and Ron DeSantis. What they really, their actual opinion is, thank you, Greg Abbott, and thank you, Ron DeSantis. I'm not saying that means DeSantis and Abbott are playing into their hands. They're not. But I'm telling you what the mentality of these mayors, our Brandon, Baltimore's Brandon, New York's Eric, and so forth. LA's Karen. That they want them and they're keeping them. Got it? And of course Eric Adams is keeping them because Eric Adams has this pat line he loves to use. New York City is the fill in the blank of America. New York City is the fill in the blank of America.
Everyone knows that New York City is the Athens of America. It's the Istanbul of America. It's the Kyiv of America. It's the soul of America. We are the Tel Aviv of America. New York City is the Islamabad of America. The Zagreb of America. We are the Lima of America. New York City is Mexico City of America. This is the Dublin of America.
New York City is soon to be the Mexico City of North America.
Oh, my God.
New York City is the Islamabad of America. Well, somebody better look for bin Laden's associates, if that's true.
Dear Lord.
It's the Zagreb, it's the Lima, it's the, right? So this is they paper over this with this like melting pot, assimilation, Statue of Liberty, huddled masses nonsense. But what they're really just sanctioning is the recomposition of these cities to expand the dependency class, to prop up their political fortunes, and to ensure at the state level, for presidential political purposes, that they stop losing electoral votes because American citizens are fleeing. 3.7 million have moved from red to blue counties. And they're going to continue to see their political power diminished and their relevance in presidential elections diminished, and the Democratic Party can't have that.
And they need to fill the classrooms. I mean, they need to for CTU, and in New York, they have 30,000 new illegal students that are sitting down in those seats.
Right, because state funding in Illinois, for example, is based on average daily attendance. So you can only keep up the appearances of 200 kids in a high school for 1,500 kids for so long. So let's fill them up so we continue to get the cash that we need to finance our 6-figure salaries and 7-figure guaranteed pensions. That's what this is about. Nothing else. Tom in Oswego.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. My situation, trying to get my son-in-law here from Mexico to reunite with my daughter and grandson. But that's probably not going to happen because of all this chaos. I never hear the politicians talking about the long-term goal of all of this. In other words, they keep putting up shelters. A shelter is a temporary situation. What's long-term? They're not legal, so I can't employ them. In New York, they say we'll spend $50 million to save 600,000. These people are demented, and pretty soon the system is going to collapse. I don't know when or what it's going to look like, but it's going to collapse.
Yeah, and when it collapses, all the better. Cloward Piven style. Not exactly how they envisioned it, but this is backdoor way in. When it collapses, then what's the response? More government.
And Dan, I have a new neighbor for you to meet. He's Venezuelan, and he choked a woman. Prosecutors say he choked a woman into unconsciousness, then sexually abused her at UIC campus. Then 3 hours later, he followed another woman from the Northwest Side CTA Blue Line and choked her during a robbery attempt.
And to that I say Americans commit crime at higher rates than migrants, because that's the pat line you'll hear back from them.
Yeah.
You'll hear back from these mayors, and then they move on. And they hope the electorate does too. And they probably will, despite their I don't approve of what's going on at the border, I don't like what's happening in my neighborhood, so I'm going to vote for a different Democrat. Oh, that's a real solution.
I mean, after the woman passed out, he flipped her onto her stomach, climbed on her back, stole her jewelry, touched her bare buttocks and private areas with his hands and fingers. So he's just a real stand-up guy.
So to Tom from Oswego's question, what happens? Oh, this is temporary. No, it's not temporary. It's temporary for now as they start to figure out where else they can move people around and what they can do. Oh, you can't hire them because they're in this country illegally? Hilarious. Hilarious. Of course you can hire them. And not to mention, how many work visas did the Biden administration grant to Venezuelan migrants? 285,000?
Right.
They're going to be normalized. They're going to be housed. They're going to be employed, or they're already employed by cartels and human trafficking operations, and they'll just add to the general street crime and violent crime in places like Chicago, New York. They're staying.
Right. And according to Alderman Lopez, because he sent out an email blast, about 2,000 have already received Social Security numbers.
Those thousands of migrants could be released en masse onto the streets in days. Local governments and nonprofits in the region have long worked with U.S. border officials to take migrants to sites such as Casa Alitas, a Catholic-run shelter for migrants in Tucson, or the Regional Center for Border Health in Yuma. FEMA disperses funds from the Shelters and Services Program to entities providing shelter, food, transportation, and support to people who have been processed and released from custody while awaiting the outcome of immigration proceedings. But the federal funding runs out on March 31st. So when the federal funding runs out, unless there's more funny money printed up and distributed, then you'll have these nonprofits just turn them out. And then it's the local governments that will intervene, or other nonprofits, or what have you. Regardless, whether it's the Fed that comes in, or the Fed that funds nonprofits that come in, or the Fed, state, city, county, as we have in Illinois, they are going to find a way to keep Biden's buddies here. That's their priority. You are not their priority. Your, issues at the grocery store or with anything else going on in your lives is secondary to keeping our new friends here, our new friends that will provide the basis for our ongoing political power. That's the priority. We talked to Mark Lennon about this yesterday. He estimating $6 billion has been spent between the city and the state in Illinois on migrants just since this uptick over the last year, really. $6 billion. 13% of Illinois state budget, to put it in some sort of context. It's a pretty big number. Does anybody care? Do you see some political sea change coming in Illinois? You see a big Republican sweep coming in the suburbs this cycle? Right. Jerry in Milwaukee.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. Let's not forget about all the medical expenses that we have to pick up because of these illegals. I mean, I understand it's in excess of $500 billion that that they're not paying, and we're going to have to pick up in hospital costs and all
yes,
this other.
Right. Medicaid, which is a federal state program. That's right. Thanks for the call, Jerry. So, right, you can extrapolate from Illinois or from the states that have the most migrants. So look at big city America. And big city America, for all the talk about, we send more money than we get and this and that. We're the economic engine of Northeast Illinois, the economic engine of New York City, and the economic engine of California, or economic engine, since they have a couple of major metropolitan areas. Yeah, they're the source of the sucking chest wounds in these states. They're the source of the cultural rot. They're the source of the lawlessness, and it radiates out from them, and they socialize their problems to entire regions, if not entire states. And the response is, from the electorates in those states, stay the course. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
You know, daily stress is such a big deal. Fact is, the terrible impact of stress is very deadly and shortens our lives. Stress attracts diseases just like blood in the water attracts sharks. And for over 40 years on Chicago radio, we continue to share practical concepts from a natural healthcare perspective to help minimize your need for all those dangerous drugs and risky surgeries. So today, it's our dirt cheap adrenal stress index test. No blood, just spit. Now, most people don't do so well on their first go around signaling adrenal gland distress. And then they follow our stress busting strategies and pass their second test with flying colors. So if you can spare a little spit, call for your dirt cheap adrenal stress index test, and we will hold that same special low price for your follow-up test. Just call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. That's 800-794-1855.
All right. Having a good day like me? If not, then you should take some balance of nature. So you should feel good that you're doing something for yourself. 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real science, real nutrition, because a lot of us aren't getting enough fruits and veggies on our own, and that is where balance of nature comes in. 3 fruit capsules, 3 veggie capsules a day, and voila, people who take it have increased energy, the ability to do the things they love even as they age. So be proactive, get your health back, get balance of nature. 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. They have life coach or health coaches there that can help you out and advise you and give you some tips if you want them. They're 24/7. 800-246-8751 or online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century with IoT Smart Connected Scanning. It's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax.
We started our company 10 years ago in an effort to help our fellow Christians experiencing tax issues resolve their matters by taking a simple 3-step approach.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys that specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results. We're also a small firm who will treat you like family, not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
Proverbs 15:22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed." Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Listen, with everything happening in our world today, it can all feel so complicated. But maintaining your home shouldn't be. For 53 years, Tyson Roofing has been primarily serving DeKalb, Kane, and Ogle counties with industry-leading quality and professionalism, priding ourselves on always using our employees and never subcontractors. In times of uncertainty, you can trust your most important asset to us. Tyson Roofing is a third-generation family-owned and operated company in DeKalb County. We've been a community standard, specializing in residential exterior maintenance since 1971. If you're in the market for a new roof or repair, fresh siding, or need to update your gutters, check us out online at tysonroofing.com. Spelled THEISEN roofing.com. Or call us at 815-758-8998. That's 815-758-8998. Or tysonroofing.com. 815-758-8998.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Chicago Parks District Union workers vote to strike.
Oh, no.
You know what they need?
Please.
They need a whiteness superintendent. I'll explain that at 6:36.
And Pete Buttigieg says bridges are racist. What? But now let's head into the newsroom. It's our good buddy Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Dan and Amy, this morning we have 31 degrees. Skies are cloudy in Chicago at 6:30. Divers are returning to Baltimore Harbor this morning to look for those presumed dead after a cargo ship struck a bridge.
A ship approaching has just lost their steering.
That from the Maryland Transportation Authority Police just before yesterday's crash. Coast Guard Rear Admiral Shannon Gilreath says local, state, and federal authorities aren't going anywhere as they try to recover the missing workers.
We are going to suspend the active search and rescue efforts.
However, the search for the 6 missing Baltimore bridge workers was suspended Tuesday night because of diminished visibility and treacherous currents. Cause of the ship's power outage remains unknown. The Supreme Court is considering a case that could limit access to the abortion pill mifepristone. Justices Tuesday began reviewing an appeals court decision blocking recent FDA changes that made the medication more widely available. Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
The reality is, even if there is some increase in emergency room visits, the question of when that rises to a sufficient safety risk is up to the FDA.
Federal appeals court recently ruled in favor of some limitations on the pill. In a meeting Tuesday with Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin says the civilian death toll in Gaza is, quote, far too high, end quote, and the amount of humanitarian aid reaching Gaza is, quote, far too low, end quote. Hunter Biden's lawyers in federal court in Los Angeles today, arguing for dismissal of tax-related charges. A winning Mega Millions ticket was sold in New Jersey, matching all 6 numbers in Tuesday night's drawing. The American Astronomical Society warning people about fake viewing glasses ahead of the April 8th total solar eclipse. To make sure yours are real, wear them inside. Make sure you can't see anything except very bright lights. Chicago Department of Public Health continues to take new steps to try and contain a citywide outbreak of measles, asking several residents of migrant shelters to receive a second dose of the MMR vaccine. The state of Illinois has so far logged 31 cases of measles. A group of 4 to 5 men are being linked to more than a dozen armed robberies on the west and northwest sides. The first of 14 robberies started on the night of March 14th, 13 more incidents on the 16th. While police have general descriptions of the men, no suspects have been identified. And several cows died after a vehicle crashed into them in Crown Point, Indiana, Tuesday morning. Authorities responded to the area of US 231 and Mississippi Parkway on a report of a vehicle versus a cow accident. Turns out a herd of cows escaped from a nearby farm and were struck. The driver walked away unhurt. Jason Dickinson, a pair of goals in the Blackhawks win over Calgary 3-1. Bulls try to shake off a losing streak when they go up against Indiana tonight. Cubs wrap up spring training with a 7-2 loss to the Cardinals. They open up the regular season at Texas tomorrow, while the White Sox get underway with a homer against the Tigers. The News is a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. With over $800 million in sales, you'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Balance of Nature makes a difference in my well-being and how I feel and everything. It's true. It makes a difference. If you take Balance of Nature, you have a happy day because you just feel a little better. It's like a restaurant in New Orleans. Her famous saying was, when you come to our restaurant, you leave a little happier than when you got here. And that's what Balance of Nature does. It lets your day be a little happier than it would be without the Balance of Nature.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. In an exclusive, Newsweek reports that the FBI has targeted Donald Trump's supporters. It's created a new category of so-called extremists to track, MAGA supporters. No decent person condones the Capitol riots of January 6 of 2021. But since then, Joe Biden and the government class painted not just Donald Trump, but also his supporters as a terror threat to our country. That's wrong. The FBI insists it doesn't investigate ideology. But given its recent history, from investigating Catholic churches to the over-the-top treatment of abortion protesters and parents at school board meetings, it no longer deserves the benefit of the doubt, especially when Antifa receives no similar treatment. For the first time in our nation's history, supporters of a president's opponent have been specifically singled out for law enforcement surveillance. It's an ugly, dangerous, and profoundly un-American precedent.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code EARN.
37 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is the service of Audible. Come to Audible and discover the best selection of audiobooks without exception. Bestsellers, new releases, podcasts. You'll find everything you love all in one place. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com. We'll start on 8094 Accident Center Lane block. It's eastbound between Torrance and Burnham. As you're traveling on the Eisenhower, all lanes are shut down as you head just west of Mannheim, specifically on the outbound off-ramp to the westbound Reagan. You have solid traffic backing up to 17th as they douse a car fire there. Inbound Ike, you've got Gapers delays inbound between Mannheim and Austin as you pass that outbound car fire, and the inbound Kennedy already at a heavy 40 minutes from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Chilly with abundant sunshine and a high of 45 today. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, cloudy and 31 right now at O'Hare, 32 at Midway, 29 in Aurora, 32 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Purple People Beaters are back at it, SEIU. They're Chicago Park District employees. I'm talking about SEIU's employees because they're their employees. They're not the taxpayer. You know, they don't work for you. They work for SEIU. They just happen to have jobs at the Chicago Park District. Well, they voted to strike. 2,200 Park District workers seek competitive pay increases, a $20 hour minimum wage, of course, health insurance for every worker, and more full-time positions. Well, they need more pay and more staff to keep up with all the programs for the migrants.
I mean, are you kidding me? They've been doing nothing. They had, think of like Gage Park. They had 1,200 programs that were put on hold. What were they doing during that entire time? There were 800 at Broadway Armory that were put on hold.
Over the past 5 years, Chicago's seen, this is from their press release.
Okay.
Talk about hoisting yourself by your own petard. Over the last 5 years, Chicagoans have seen a decline in park programming since the cancellation of swim lessons for summer camp kids, 30% fewer activities available to our communities, and a 50% increase in wait lists to join programs. We need raises. We're cutting services, but we need raises and health care. Oh, and yeah, hire some more because the SEIU needs more voters too, and precinct workers.
And people to pay dues.
The Park District said its programming and available workforce is limited due to safety protocols during the pandemic. Oh, right. The COVIDian protocols that you embrace now are the excuse to explain the reduction in programming, and as well as on the employer side and the strike on the employee side. I love it. It's a great scam. Great scam. But as programming returned, the Park District still limited swim class sizes in the interest of public safety.
What? I mean, drowning, yes, but the interest of public safety. I mean, remember Dr. Ezike? She's like, oh, fecal spray in pools. I hate pools. And then every pool was shut down because she personally doesn't like pools.
The good news is that SEIU is continuing to negotiate in good faith. Do they ever not? And they're calling on BLM Brandon to intervene. Of course they are.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wonder which on whose side he'll intervene. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Park District, the 2,200 strong, the Chicago Park District, giving you the quality programming that you're not getting at exorbitant prices. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I'll tell you what I suspect is one of the problems with the Park District, too, though SEIU was very generous in not saying it.
What?
Whiteness. You know, like all these MAGA voters that defeated the transfer tax increase referendum.
Yeah, I was one of them. Yes, thank you. 38,000 strong are we? Yes, thank you.
They're also sort of a plague on Park District programming, I'm just assuming. And I like what this school district in St. Louis Park, Minnesota is doing.
What?
And I think we should become a little bit more fashion forward in this effort to eradicate whiteness. You know, the DEI is very sanitized. Let's call it what it is. Let's strip away the veneer, shall we? The school district, that St. Louis Park School District in Minnesota, has posted a job. And this is a good paying job, too.
Okay.
Which is the kind of jobs that you would want at the Chicago Park District. I mean, I think this would be appropriate because as SEIU Park District employees were saying that, you know, it's getting too expensive to live in the city. St. Louis Park District is hiring an assistant superintendent to examine the presence of whiteness in the district. The superintendent there that assistant superintendent gig pays between $134 and $201 grand.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you need an expert.
Forget my bagging at Walmart. I'm going to go there.
Yeah. Well, whiteness is a big problem. I don't know what the chances are they're going to hire a honky for that as examination and rooting out of whiteness, but it's definitely something to look at. Seems like test scores aren't where they need to be in terms of reading and math proficiencies. Gosh, that has a familiar ring to it. And so, understandably, the school district concluded that whiteness is the problem, so they're hiring a person devoted to examining the presence of said whiteness so that said whiteness can be eliminated from said school district. And I just think if we did the same thing with the Park District, maybe we could free up a few spaces in those swim classes, get programming back online. You need that because it's just this this overhang to everything, whiteness, and government has to lead the way. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And I say this, too, because, of course, you know, SEIU is going to play racial politics the same way that BLM Brandon does, and they'll probably play it together. And if you don't acquiesce to their demands, then you're going to be on team racism. And who wants to be on that team? Right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's a ballsy move after they've been dormant for, has it been 8 months since we've had access to anything that we've been paying taxes for?
I don't know. Not much of a fan of Park District programming, although I am a honky.
I use it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but I know we talked to that woman from Gage Park the other week, and she was talking about the Park District facilities that she can't access. So I know there are people that do use it, and I understand. They paid for those facilities. It seems to follow logically that they should be able to use them, but
yeah, that makes sense.
But only on terms that are agreeable to SEIU and to the migrants. That's what I say. Robert in Bloomingdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey guys, how you doing today? The reason I was calling is it's just ridiculous. You got joke unions like SEIU running the state of Illinois, the teachers unions running the city of Chicago and everything else. These people in the park districts and so forth should be fortunate they have a job with a good pension that other people in private sector don't. What do you think?
I think you're being very uncharitable. Thanks for the call, Robert, to our public sector union heroes. Those on the front line providing the swim lessons that you won't provide to your kids. Those on the front line unlocking the door to the gym so people can play basketball.
I mean, it's a heroic, valiant job that they have.
Everyday
to
heroes.
Lean in there and get that key in that and just no. But there are some Park District employees that I love that, because we've been using the Park District for everything you can imagine, from summer school or summer camp is a big thing because it's affordable, and the counselors were great. But they've been doing nothing.
Did they examine whiteness in those summer camps at all?
Not back then. It wasn't a thing back then.
Well, you may or may not get Park District spaces back staffed, maybe not fully, since programs appear to be cut per SEIU. But, it's going to be on their timeline and at their price point.
I mean, it's so sad because we finally get our public spaces back. Finally. Well, we're supposed to. The eviction is allegedly, Dan, going to begin this Saturday.
Yeah.
So we'll see where they take those 300 men that are at Gage Park and I think close to 500 people that are at Broadway Armory. I'll be curious to see if any news crews are out there to watch them leave and see where they go. I mean, they might just go back to the landing zone and they be sheltered somewhere else.
Maybe it's time to finally bring the Pritzker hotels online
Yep.
as a way station. I don't want to forget about that opportunity for Pritzker to live his values. By the way, also, just on this whole examining whiteness thing, looking for it, finding it everywhere, rooting it out. DEI, because that's what this is, the dye. DEI, dye that kills.
Right.
Literally. The UK looked at this recently, just to give you an example, because, by the way, this, of course, is rotten in the private sector, too, which is why sort of nobody can see their way fit to behave sensibly. There's not a stakeholder group in Chicago that can see its way to behave sensibly and to promote common sense and to say this identitarian political hustle is killing the city. All aspects, public and private. But there's not a single stakeholder group can bring themselves to say that. Pick one. The church, the business community, particularly corporate, the schools, public and private, the Park District, the library. I mean, pick an institution, any institution. Pick a stakeholder group, any stakeholder group. So anyway, the UK looked at this, and they can't figure out how to even measure whether DEI is having any positive impact or not. What they can measure is that companies spend about $8 billion a year on DEI training. 5 years to 2020 that they looked at this, 15 to 20, the number of people with the job title head of diversity more than doubled. Taxpayers are spending 550 million pounds a year on 10,000 government jobs related to DEI. I think Chicago might have Britain beat, but those are big numbers, and there's a backlash that has started, but I mean, it is really a blip compared to what has been allowed to run wild. I mean, this is teaspoon in the Titanic type stuff at this point. So, I mean, I guess, Britain deserves some credit for saying, this is all very amorphous. It's difficult to compare different workplaces in terms of understanding what kind of impact this training has. I can tell you what kind of impact the training has. 0 to negative.
Right.
Depending on the strength of your workplace in the leadership of your company. But everybody is going along. Most everybody, not everybody. Most everybody is going along. And, well, that's a problem. And Chicago is, I mean, like the quintessential example of it. Public and private. Paul and Carrie.
So bear with me, Dan. How, in fact, do we fight this? I mean, for example, Carrie here, and Carrie, in the primary, we recently voted down a referendum, thank God, for home rule within Carrie. And one lady's argument, for example, on social was, well, it's going to be a cut in our programs. My husband, this is what she said, my husband's not going to have a job. And, of course, he worked for the city of Carrie. So, I mean, every day we talk about this, and with my algorithms on the internet, they feed me a plethora of all the things that I want to hear about how bad things are with the migrants and the way people continue to vote in Chicago and states like Illinois. Okay, other than saying, well, you have to vote in November and call your state representative. What are we to do? What are we to do? I mean, I'd be interested in hearing.
Well, Paul and Carrie, thanks for the call. I mean, you're in a small community. You can't organize in a small community that I think leans conservative. Certainly, maybe if not politically, in terms of lifestyle. You're in a small community that leans conservative, and we don't know how to organize to oppose a referendum, which people apparently reflexively did, as you just said, and defeated. Mm-hmm. So that tells you there's something out there that people sort of get it. You can't organize to win a municipal race? Really? I did this event with John Cass down at a club in Naples with a bunch of Chicago expats. Some are probably still residents. Most are not, but they go back to Chicago. They're all from Chicago. There's 250 people in this room, and these are successful people, well-heeled people. So their exit from Chicagoland is a real loss.
Oh, yeah. And
I know people on the left are blithe to this occurrence, but whatever. But it's the same thing. They say, well, what kind of, these guys, these are people with means and so forth. So I said, well, one thing you can all do, even from Southwest Florida, get control of your alma mater. Where'd you go to high school? Get control of it. The way that that former CEO of Morgan Stanley sent that letter to Loyola Academy saying, our family is no longer donating to Loyola Academy as long as you're on this woke die train to hell. Paraphrasing what he wrote, obviously. So why, a lot of you or your kids went to private schools. Many went to public schools in wealthier areas. Don't tell me you can't get control of your school. Don't tell me you don't have the juice or you don't have the connections to a community you spent your lives in and your kids went to school there to get control of your school. Just get control of your school. One thing. You don't have to run for office. You don't have to stand up a PAC. You don't have to write a $10 million check for some gubernatorial candidate. Just get control of the school that you were involved in for, in many cases, generations. You can't do that? Yeah, you can. Stop trying to save the world. Stop trying to get Trump across the finish line. You're not going to. He's going to get across the finish line with or without you, certainly in Illinois. I mean, that's fine to be, engaged in all of that, of course. But you want to present a successful model that people can replicate. You want people to say, "Do you see what the folks in Cary did?" You want people to say, "Do you see what the folks at ABC Elementary did, or XYZ High School?" That is eminently achievable. It's right there. You know it. You don't need outside interlopers to tell you who's who and what to do. So do it. Mary, Midway.
Oh, I know. I look at the property taxes, and first you see the gigantic amount they take for teachers. Well, they're not teaching our kids. Then you see how much they take out for the police. God bless the police, but I hear more and more stories about you call 911, you might be on your own, or they might come in a 2-hour amount of time. It's not like it used to be. And now here we are with the park districts, which is not news to me since the beginning of lockdown. All the ones by me have been closed. Olympic-sized pools not open. And to answer Amy's question, what are they doing there? I'll tell you. They're collecting a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Mary. Yeah. And you know what, Mary? That paycheck needs to be bigger.
Yes. Now.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Freedom begins with you. Learn how to spot and call out corruption like the Edgar County Watchdogs do. On Saturday, April 13th, Breakthrough Ideas invites you to a training and panel discussion at the Abington Distinctive Banquets in Glen Ellen. Spend the morning interacting with Kirk Allen and John Kraft of the Edgar County Watchdogs. They'll discuss strategies and basics for keeping watch on your tax dollars in your community. You'll hear from Diane Benjamin, blogger for BLN News, Amanda Piker, a No Goshen activist, and Brittany Norwood, a Dalton whistleblower. Session is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon and includes training, discussion, and breakfast. Tickets are only $15 and are on sale now at breakthrough-ideas.com. You'll be immersed in the experience with like-minded people and learn some skills from other watchdogs. Freedom begins with you. Saturday, April 13th at the Abington, presented by Breakthrough Ideas. Go to breakthrough-ideas.com to buy tickets now.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Balance of Nature makes a difference in my well-being and how I feel and everything. It's true. It makes a difference. If you take Balance of Nature, you have a happy day because you just feel a little better. It's like a restaurant in New Orleans. Her famous saying was, when you come to our restaurant, you leave a little happier than when you got here. And that's what Balance of Nature does. It lets your day be a little happier than it would be without the Balance of Nature.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order plus $10 off any additional sets. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of U-Store It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of U-Store It, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Got a text from a friend. Park District also responsible for maintaining the parks themselves, which I can attest to being a mess. Pre-COVID, Lincoln Park had an army of landscaping crews who weeded, edged, pruned, etc. Now it's overrun with weeds, leaves that were never raked in the fall, clogging sewers and gutters, and all manner of trash. Maybe put the illegals to work. Sure, you can put them to work, but you got to pay them $20 an hour living wage and provide health care.
Oh, God. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, what is the state of anticipated ballot security in swing states? Catherine Engelbrecht, True the Vote founder and president, joins us at 7:07.
And Dan, they only counted 300 mail-in ballots yesterday. Oh, they had the day off. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
5 more measles cases confirmed in Chicago. WIND Chicago News Times, 7 o'clock.
Divers keep searching a river in Baltimore. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but it is not a search for bridge collapse survivors.
At this point, we do not believe that we're going to find any of these individuals still alive.
So Coast Guard Rear Admiral Shannon Gilreath says it's a recovery mission now for 6 construction workers who were on the Key Bridge when a cargo ship collision brought it crashing down. Why is still a big question. National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Homendy just told Fox.
We've seen the reports about power issues. We do need to verify that. We do have the voyage data recorder right now.
Fox's Griff Jenkins reports from Baltimore. This is also a big deal this morning.
The voice transmission with the dispatch of the Maryland Transportation Authorities after that Mayday call went out. They're hailing those individuals as heroes because they stopped the traffic and saved countless lives on this bridge by stopping cars from coming onto it at 1:30 in the morning.
While the U.S. and Israeli relations are strained over the war in Gaza, Israel's dealing now with militants at its northern border.
Hezbollah says 3 of its members were killed in Israeli airstrikes in northeast Lebanon. Israel says its aircraft attacked Hezbollah in response to a rocket attack. The Iran-backed group in turn claims to have launched dozens more rockets at an Israeli border town. One man's reported to have died as a result.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A controversial Texas border law remains blocked by an appeals court ruling this morning.
Texas Senate Bill 4 would make it a crime to cross the Texas-Mexico border between points of entry. It allows police to question and arrest anyone believed to have entered Texas through Mexico illegally who does not have immigration status. The Department of Justice says the law runs afoul of the federal government's authority over immigration and will lead to racial profiling.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Somebody's life changed overnight in New Jersey, winning a fortune. The $1.1 billion Mega Millions jackpot, the 8th largest U.S. lottery prize of all time. America's listening to Fox News.
Cloudy skies, 29 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The Chicago Department of Public Health taking new steps to contain a citywide outbreak of measles. As the number of measles cases continues to grow, health officials are urging residents of a Pilsen area migrant shelter to get a second dose of the MMR vaccine. The state of Illinois so far logged 31 cases of measles. 2 Chicago hospitals are accused of ignoring claims of former patients about a disgraced gynecologist. A lawsuit has been filed against Endeavor Health on behalf of roughly 300 patients of former patients of Dr. Fabio Ortega. In Springfield, Illinois, lawmakers this week debated the notion that auto insurance rates are discriminatory. State Representative Will Guzzardi has introduced legislation prohibiting insurers from using non-driving factors when setting rates. State Representative Jeff Kiker says there are reasons car insurance is more expensive in Chicago.
All you need to do is drive down a rural, then suburban, then Chicago street and take a look at the traffic. Look at how many cars are bumper to bumper bumping into each other on the roads.
Kiker adds that insurance companies do not consider race, national origin, or religion when considering rates.
It doesn't matter. What matters is how you drive, your experience driving, your propensity to have another accident.
Guzzardi says factors like credit score and zip code smuggle in what he called decades of discrimination. A judge has denied bond for a Chicago area veterinarian accused of distributing child pornography. Adam King was escorted by marshals into a courtroom at the Dirksen Federal Building Tuesday, facing federal child pornography charges. Judge deciding to hold King in custody, saying he is a threat to the community, especially minors. Jason Dickinson, a pair of goals in the Blackhawks win over Calgary, 3-1. Bulls take on the Pacers at the UC tonight. Cubs wrap up spring training with a loss to the Cardinals. They open up the regular season at Texas tomorrow, while the White Sox get underway with a home date against the Tigers. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, tunein.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
This is the time of year to enjoy life, so stop letting pain in your joints
keep you from doing what you want to do this spring. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief, folks. No surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics is literally transforming lives. Their advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. No pain pills, no risky surgery. This is an all-natural solution. QC Kinetics has tens of thousands of satisfied patients who've reclaimed their mobility. Take action now. Live your best life this spring and summer. It's a great use of your tax refund, by the way. So call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
When I go out, I take a bottle of each because sometimes I end up talking to people in the restaurants here. Someone looking at them, I say, oh, this isn't a Christmas decoration, this red and green. This is my Balance of Nature. I tell people all the time, I'm happier and I feel better. I love this product. It's done so much for me, it's not even funny. And don't think I'm not talking to everybody that I know about it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08, let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time will start on 8094. Eastbound between the Tri-State and Burnham, you've got an accident. 3 right lanes blocked on this busy travel day. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, northbound between Roosevelt and Monroe is all jammed up. Dan Ryan inbound. Right now, 19 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike finally sorting itself out. Still have outbound delays between 9th Avenue and the Reagan split, I-88, as you go 290 west out towards Schaumburg. You had a vehicle fire. Fire is out. It's already towed out of the way, but there is a right lane blocked as you head out to the Reagan I-88, and that's backing up things right now on the Ike as they continue to do cleanup on the side of the road, so delays continue on the outbound Eisenhower. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
A couple of clouds around this morning, then some breaks of sun by the afternoon. Breezy and chilly, high 45. It'll be clear and cold tonight, low 29. A sunny, warmer day tomorrow, the high 51. Clouds and sun on Friday, the high 54. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Cloudy and 29 at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So about the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge after it was hit by a container ship. I thought it was interesting. Baltimore has a BLM Brandon, too. His name is Brandon Scott. Interchangeable. If he was the mayor of Chicago, you wouldn't notice a difference.
Nope, not at all.
Same rap, same program. This was his admonition to CNN yesterday.
I'm going to be the first to ask that CNN and everyone else stop showing the video. No one needs to see a possibility of their family member being severely injured or otherwise over and over and over again, because it's just traumatizing our community.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible thing that occurred, but, right, Baltimore is traumatized on a daily basis because of the policies of politicians like BLM Brandon Scott. And actually, it is useful to see the video, not because there's lack of concern for the victims, the missing construction workers and so forth, but because you want to understand what happened and you want to bump up the official story against what you're seeing, because you can't trust government or the D.C. press corps. So I thought it was interesting because I know there are some conspiracy theories abounding that this was a strategic attack. Lara Logan is perpetuating one of them. But what you can see is the power going on and off on that container ship as it's backing out of the port and towards that stanchion that it ultimately hit, taking down the bridge. And the reporting can be fact-checked and challenged, but at least let's understand what makes sense based on what we see and what we know. The reporting is that there was a Mayday call, they lost power, and that resulted in the bridge being closed, so there wasn't more traffic on the bridge than there was. There was cars, that on the bridge after it was closed, at least on one side. But that actually the ship's captain and personnel acted heroically given the exigencies of the circumstances.
Right. So this was not a terrorist attack. I mean, I had one of my dear friends, write me yesterday saying this is, to deflect from P. Diddy. I'm like, oh my God, it is not
from
at
P. Diddy.
all.
Oh, that's interesting.
The P. Diddy scandal. I'm like, no. You can see the lights going on and off. They lost hydraulics. They made the Mayday call. And thank God for those police officers who jumped into action, excuse me, and got those vehicles off the bridge. And I just wish that pothole repair crew could have, gotten the same warning and got out, because you can see them going into the water. It's just awful. But 6 are still missing. 1 is in the hospital, and the other one just brushed his clothes off, and he said he wants to see his family. He was shaking a little bit, but nothing major, and he said the good Lord was on his side. And that's what he told the first responders, and then he left the scene.
Okay, well, Lara Logan tweeted
her?
about this, you can raise these issues and they can be addressed, but she's saying that this was a strategic, and I think she was saying this yesterday on Bannon's War Room podcast, a brilliant strategic attack, multiple intel sources she cites, absolutely brilliant strategic attack in U.S. critical infrastructure, most likely cyber, and our intel agencies know it. She said, the 2 critical components on the bridge are the 2 load-bearing pylons on each end, closest to the shore. Those are bigger, thicker, and deeper than anything else. These are the anchor points, and they knew that hitting either one of them would be a fatal wound to the integrity of the bridge. She goes on to say there should have been a harbor pilot to pilot the boat. You're not supposed to traverse any obstacles without the harbor pilot. They chose a full moon so there would be maximum tidal shift, rise, and fall. Brisk flow in that river on a normal day, and have had a lot of rain recently, so water was already moving along at a good pace. All these factors, and she goes on, but all these factors, when you look at it, this is how you teach people how to do this type of attack, and there are so few people left in the system who know this. We have a junior varsity team on the field. Mm-hmm. And, then she goes into the discussion that, has been raised about the delay in global commerce, both in terms of shipping as well as in truck traffic that traverses the Francis Scott Key Bridge. For every $100 that goes into the city, $12 comes from shipping. Believe this will cripple the city of Baltimore at a time when they do not have the resources to cover. Well, right. Baltimore is one of the worst governed and most violent cities in America. That predates this. So the striking at this by some unnamed entity in order to temporarily disrupt international commerce based on what we actually know seems a bit far-fetched to me. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Yeah, that just does not add up. Occam's razor on these things, the simplest explanation that contemplates the particular variables. What was said, I mean, you're fine to question the official story, fine. But what was said and what you see with the power going on and off sounds a lot closer to the mark than any of these ginned up theories about some very sophisticated attack, and then you add in that our intel agencies knew or should have known about this, and so on and so forth. It gets a little Jean Le Carre spy novel-ish for me. I don't know about you.
Right, and what terrorists make a Mayday call? I mean, if they were true, want to take down the bridge, they wouldn't warn people, Mayday, Mayday, we lost power on the ship.
Well, wait a second. So let's just understand what the assertion is. The assertion is not that the crew on the ship were the terrorists, is that it was an attack that took control of the ship to move it into the pylon that knocked out and brought down the bridge. Anyway, the big guy, Mr. 10%, Joe Biden, he weighed in on this too because he has great affinity for that bridge.
At about 1:30, a container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware, either on a train or by car.
By train? Train?
Yeah.
There's no train there.
I think he's remembering his time on Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train, because there are no train tracks there, but he remembers it fondly.
Yes,
and that's the important thing. Frank, Board of Trade, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Laura Logan, early onset dementia, and Amy, lose that P. Diddy woman's number.
Okay, no, I'm not going to. She later said maybe I jumped the gun a little bit. I'm like, you think? But I got to tell you about my girl, Laura Logan. I think that, the last two times I've seen her, and I know we did an event with her a few years back, she's not the same person that she used to be. There's something going on there.
Yeah, I think, I can't recall offhand. I'd have to go back and look it up, and I'm not that interested. But there's been a couple of instances of sort of foundation-free conspiracy theorizing.
Oh yeah, like sucking blood out of kids so that you can look younger, and it's just that the Democrats
I don't recall that one.
Oh, I do. That the Democrats were kidnapping children, and then we were stealing their blood, so that is a form of regaining your youth with blood transfusions. And then last time I saw her, she did not look good. It was not. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to say somebody has something that I don't know, but I'll just say that I don't think she's well.
Well, I don't know, but to go with something like that, to go with a theory like that, without any sort of evidentiary basis other than the proverbial multiple anonymous intel sources. I don't know. It's sort of like, it reminds me of Putin saying Ukraine is responsible for the Moscow concert attack. It's like, but it's awfully convenient, and you're going to have to put some pieces together for me that I can logically follow, or point me in a direction. And, I'm not really picking up what Laura Logan is laying down. Anyway, we do live in an accident-prone world, right? Accidents do happen. We do live in a world where there is rank incompetence, particularly at the highest levels of government and the highest levels of corporate America. So you want to factor that in too. all these people that we generally wouldn't trust to babysit our kids, but they are so uber competent that they can put together these Rube Goldberg conspiracies that no one can ever figure out. We figured out a lot of nefarious activity at the hands of government and corporate chieftains and so forth. I'm sure there are some that have gotten by the goalie, but yeah, I don't think so. By the way, what it's really distracting attention from, and I don't mean this in a conspiratorial way, I just mean that this is where a lot of attention, Baltimore's attention, should be on, in addition to the rescue effort. The police shortage in Baltimore. Here we go again. We brought you the story the other week about Pittsburgh. No police precincts open between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning. And you've got a handful of officers covering the entire city. Well, Baltimore has a similar issue.
Anyone willing to work overtime. In the Southern District on Tuesday, there was a plea for officers to work overtime. Minutes later, it went citywide.
Citywide, overtime available on today's date, trolley shift, Southern District. Anyone interested?
Baltimore's Southern Police District is the city's largest district, 61,000 residents. And on Tuesday afternoon, sources tell us at one point there were 3 police officers on patrol. Just seconds after the plea for officers hit the airwaves, so did pleas for help.
If anyone in Sector 2 can come clear, we have a physical child abuse at Morrill Park, and there's a 10-year-old at the location with bruises all over his body. Okay, we also have a common assault. We have a missing person, 2640 Huron Street.
10 minutes after that child abuse call was transmitted, it appears there were still no officers en route.
We still holding that physical child abuse? Yes, sir. And be advised, we are now holding 10 calls. No priority ones. We still have the physical child abuse and the common assault.
Baltimore has a murder per capita rate that is, I believe, second highest in the nation, behind only Memphis. Ever since a previous mayor and the Freddie Gray prosecution and the previous mayor that wanted Stephanie Rawlings, SRB, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, was that her name? I think so. That created a safe space for rioters. You know, and this doesn't even include what happened during the George Floyd Summer of Love 2020. I mean, Baltimore has always had problems, but now it's just completely circling the drain. And 3 officers for an area of 61,000 people in the heart of Baltimore, with the kind of endemic violent crime problem it has. You want to pay attention to Baltimore because of this bridge collapse. Sure, that's understandable. But I would use the opportunity to include a little conversation about public safety generally, not on the waterways, but on the streets of Baltimore. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and want to see what Salem Surround can do for you, visit SurroundChicago.com. Remember to visit SurroundChicago.com today.
Freedom begins with you. Learn how to spot and call out corruption like the Edgar County Watchdogs do. On Saturday, April 13th, Breakthrough Ideas invites you to a training and panel discussion at the Abington Distinctive Banquets in Glen Ellen. Spend the morning interacting with Kirk Allen and John Kraft of the Edgar County Watchdogs. They'll discuss strategies and basics for keeping watch on your tax dollars in your community. You'll hear from Diane Benjamin, blogger for BLN News, Amanda Piker, a No Goshen activist, and Brittany Norwood, a Dalton whistleblower. Session is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon and includes training, discussion, and breakfast. Tickets are only $15 and are on sale now at breakthrough-ideas.com. You'll be immersed in the experience with like-minded people and learn some skills from other watchdogs. Freedom begins with you. Saturday, April 13th at the Abington, presented by Breakthrough Ideas. Go to breakthrough-ideas.com to buy tickets now.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
When I go out, I take a bottle of each because sometimes I end up talking to people in the restaurants here. Someone looking at them, I say, oh, this isn't a Christmas decoration, this red and green. This is my balance of nature. I tell people all the time, I'm happier and I feel better. I love this product. It's done so much for me, it's not even funny. And don't think I'm not talking to everybody that I know about it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Have you written a book and want to get it published? Christian Faith Publishing helps thousands of authors just like you publish their books with a company dedicated to strong Christian values. And to help you get started, we want to send you our free writer's guide, packed with tips, tricks, and templates for authors. Christian Faith Publishing reviews every book submitted to us. And if your book is approved, we'll edit, design, print, promote, and distribute your book online and in stores everywhere. Imagine seeing your book in specialty Christian bookstores, Amazon, iTunes, Barnes & Noble, and many others. It all starts with a completed manuscript and one call to Christian Faith Publishing at 888-521-4447. If you have a novel, children's book, poetry, biography, or any inspirational work you've written, we can help you get it published today. Shouldn't you work with a publisher who shares your Christian values of integrity and honesty? You can get your book published. Get your free writer's guide today. Call 888-521-4447. That's 888-521-4447. 888-521-4447.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. My father was a union iron worker, just like his father, but while he inherited his father's skill, he did not inherit his tolerance for taking orders from union bosses. He needed a change, something that was his, something where he could call the shots. So he started a janitorial company. His company cleaned grocery stores and airplane hangars, dentist office and construction sites, hardware stores and restaurants. As his business expanded, so did the complexity of managing it, especially the taxes. Preparing tax returns requires records, and Dad just never got accustomed to keeping good records. That was a mistake. It cost him his business. Initially, I followed my father and grandfather and became a union iron worker, third generation. I'm very proud of that legacy. Now I'm a tax attorney. I help business owners protect what they've built. Fighting back against the IRS is personal to me. If you own a business and have tax troubles, fight back. Go to fightbacknow.com. That's fightbacknow.com, or call 312-664-6649. Become a freedom fighter today.
TV news. It's a love-hate relationship. Well, let's be honest. More hate. We agree. That's why we're different. Salem News Channel has assembled the greatest collection of conservative minds all in one place. Home to Charlie Kirk, Hugh Hewitt, Eric Metaxas, and more. There's finally a place on TV for lovers of freedom like you. Watch anytime, on any screen, free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
Last week, Tommy Tuberville, Republican of Alabama, former Auburn football coach, you'll recall, he forced a vote on an amendment that would protect female athletes by keeping men out of women's sports. And all 51 Democrat socialists voted against it. Talk about a dividing line.
Dear
well,
Lord.
Sage Steele, a former ESPN anchor who stood up to ESPN and Disney over COVID mandates, and is also standing up for women in women's sports, like Riley Gaines style, took to the social media the kids are so enthralled with and had this to say.
All right, I have to get this off my chest. Friday night, middle of the night, there was an amendment called the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act that was presented on the Senate floor. Help me understand why all 51 Democrats voted to block this amendment from even being voted on. Help me understand why all 51 Democrats apparently unanimously feel that it's okay for men to play women's sports. No excuse. I don't understand. And I think it's time to call people out on it. So I have a list of names that stood out to me. Women senators who voted to not even allow this amendment to be considered. Number one, from Massachusetts, Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. From Nevada, Senator Jackie Rosen. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from New York, Senator Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, and how about Senator Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, actually blocking it twice now from even coming to a vote. Remember, these are mothers, these are grandmothers, these are aunties, these are feminists. Isn't that what they call themselves? These are feminists who are saying, no, these young women and girls are not worth fighting for. They're not worth protecting. They're saying that by blocking this vote. This should not be political, but every single Democrat voting thinks it's okay for men to play women's sports. It should not be political. It is shameful. And these people and others need to be called out.
And Sage Steele is just the gal to do it. I love it.
Yeah, and
Good
she was
for her.
wearing an XXXY hat, which is the new clothing line from our good friend Jennifer Say. And Riley
nice.
Gaines is involved in that too, so good for her. Call them out. Don't stop. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, the real cause of inflation. No, it's not the printing press. It's not the devaluation of our currency. The real cause of inflation in America. We'll start there with Steve Moore, 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
29 degrees, cloudy skies, divers back at the Port of Baltimore this morning. They're looking for 6 people presumed dead after a cargo ship hit a major Maryland bridge.
At this point, we do not know where they are, but we intend to give it our best effort to help these families find closure.
Colonel Roland Butler is with the Maryland Secretary of State Police. Now, that search for the missing workers was suspended Tuesday night because of diminished visibility and treacherous currents in the busy harbor.
Coast Guard's not going away. None of our partners are going away, but we're just going to transition to a different phase.
Rear Admiral Shannon Gilreath with the Coast Guard saying maritime traffic through the port is being suspended until further notice. Cook County State's Attorney's race and the lead held by retired Judge Eileen O'Neill Burke continue to hold on Monday as Chicago election officials early in the week counted a total of 2,746 mail-in ballots, and Cook County officials counted around 3,500 mail and provisional ballots under intense pressure. O'Neill Burke now has a lead of 1,598 votes, according to the Associated Press tabulation, after only about 300 votes were reviewed Tuesday. Vote-by-mail ballots cast in nursing homes and other congregate living facilities will be open today, but it is unclear how many of those ballots will be added to unofficial counts. The City of Chicago Department of Public Health taking new steps to try and contain a now citywide outbreak of measles. As the number of measles cases continues to grow, city and health officials are urging a second MMR vaccine to residents of a Pilsen area migrant shelter. Again, the state of Illinois has so far logged 31 cases of measles. In Springfield, Illinois lawmakers are debating a notion that auto insurance rates are discriminatory. State Representative Will Guzzardi has introduced legislation to prohibit insurers from using non-driving factors when setting rates. State Representative Jeff Kiker says there are reasons that car insurance is more expensive in Chicago.
All you need to do is drive down a rural, then suburban, then Chicago street and take a look at the traffic. Look at how many cars are bumper to bumper, bumping into each other on the roads.
Guzzardi says factors like credit score and zip codes smuggle in decades of discrimination. Chicago sports, Jason Dickinson had a pair of goals in the Blackhawks win over Calgary 3-1. Dickinson now a 20-goal scorer for the first time in 9 NHL seasons. Bulls take on the Pacers tonight. Cubs wrap up spring training with a 7-2 loss to the Cardinals, and they open the regular season at Texas tomorrow, while the White Sox get underway with a home contest against the Tigers. The news, a service of the AM 560 store. Order T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands like Proft University. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
For the past 8 years, AM 560 has welcomed Dennis Prager to Chicago for a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, on Thursday, May 23rd, we welcome Dennis back for one final cigar night. Presented by Control Point Engineering. Join Dennis, Dan Proft, and Sean Thompson for a night you won't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Quick Delivery Service.
Cooler weather is here. Is your vehicle ready for the winter? Remke's Garage, your diesel engine and transmission specialist, can inspect your vehicle so you won't end up on the side of the road. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. The shop at Remke's Garage is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. When was the last time you changed your filters, checked your batteries, inspected your tires, belts and hoses, or flushed your coolant? Be prepared. Bring your Mercedes Sprinter, Ford Power Stroke, Dodge Cummins, Chevy Duramax, or Isuzu diesel truck to Remke's Garage and have your tires inspected as well. Ask about the Fleetworthy commercial-grade Toyo Celsius Cargo all-weather tire. The premier tire to accommodate the rainy, icy, snowy, and cold weather we encounter here in the Chicagoland area. Don't get stuck. Remke's Garage is your diesel and Toyo tire headquarters. Visit remkesgarage.com. That's REMKES garage.com and schedule your inspection today.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at Navage.com.
7:37, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy, 45, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike outbound still jammed up between Austin and the Reagan I-290 split. That's I-88 and I-290, all due to a much earlier car fire. It's out of the way, but some cleanup remains. And again, delays start at Austin all the way out to the Reagan I-290 split. Outbound Stevenson jamming up western to central, and I-55 disabled vehicle right shoulder causing some local delays southbound right at Weber Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Chilly with abundant sunshine today, high of 45. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, cloudy and 29 right now, 32 at Midway. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the big guy, Mr. 10%, President Biden on the campaign trail, he has an ask of you, America.
Folks, if America sends me a Congress that are Democrats.
What? For America sends me a Congress that are Democrats. I think he's asking for you to send him more Democrats to Congress, but it's got a little jumbled on the teleprompter, so, or in his brain, one of the two. So please consider his plea. Also, since we're in the business of trying to be fair-minded when it comes to the less than able-minded, the Bidenflation you've heard so much about, not really Bidenflation. It's not really Biden policies and Fed policies. No. It's something more fundamental. It's something that Joe Biden has devoted his administration to fighting as he transforms our economy so heroically. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, Govzilla author and economist. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, great to be with you guys, Dan and Amy. Favorite part of my week, and yes, thank you for reminding us that it is not Biden's massive spending policies at all that caused the inflation. It's a much more fundamental problem.
And tell us what that problem is.
Well, it's climate change.
Yeah,
Did you know
climate
that?
inflation.
See, it's climate change. Climate change is what caused our inflation, and people probably think I'm just joking, but there is a scientific study that was in a scientific journal that says that the reason that prices are rising for things like groceries is because the climate is changing, right? And it wasn't changing before Biden came into office. It started when Biden came into office. And the claim they make, I mean, if I sound like I'm joking, I'm not joking, but it is a joke. The authors of this study say that that what's happening is that the warming of the planet is reducing food production. And, if you have a reduction in production, then the price of something is going to go up. But I think most people in sixth grade science understand that if the planet is slightly warming, which it has slightly warmed over the last number of decades, then that means more food production, not less food production, because, of course, plants and vegetation grow more in warm weather than they do in cold weather.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one theory. Yeah, that's one theory. It's what we've. The reality is one theory, and then there's this other idea. Now, it's certainly.
But hold on, Dan. I mean, let me just say this. It's one thing. You have like a dingbat, obviously a dingbat, ideological scientist who came up with this idiotic study. That's fine. There are a lot of stupid people out there, and even with PhDs. And so he publishes this idiotic study saying the warming of the planet is causing food production to go down. And then that's one thing. But then you have a scientific journal, a peer-reviewed journal that actually publishes this piece of garbage. And then you have Axios, which is, for those who follow politics, kind of it has a lot of subscribers. It's a political newsletter. And they actually report
on the left, political newsletter on the left.
They pretend that they're down the middle, but they do lean left. But I mean, why would they report on something that's so crazy?
Yeah, well, why would they? Because they don't lean left; they are left, and they're in charge of. They're in charge of promulgating the official story on things like climate change, and then tomorrow the follow-up will be, Joe Biden, heroically shuts down, carbon emissions on farms like the EU is doing, which is actually what is imperiling food production the world over. But, I digress.
Yeah. Well, look, I think the big story on climate change right now is I got to tell you, people are so angry about these new EV mandates. I mean, and I'm sick and tired of reading there was a New York Times headline the other day that said, "Don't worry, the new environmental mandates by the Biden administration, they will not take your car away." Oh, yes, they will. Yes, they will. The whole intention of this is to require people to buy electric vehicles, and what's going to happen is people are going to start hoarding electric vehicles before they're banned from the roads. It's like the war on drugs.
I was dutifully reading your Unleash Prosperity newsletter, as I do. Yeah. And I wanted to get your take on something, too, because you tackle this issue. I saw the editorial in the Wall Street Journal about, quote-unquote, conservatives, talking about the Biden head of the FTC, who's a bit of a monopoly buster. At least that's how she presents herself, this Miss Khan does. But she has sort of support from some erstwhile conservatives like Matt Gaetz because she's going after big business. So, I mean, this is a situation of strange bedfellows, but are they going in the right direction?
No, the worst law, one of the worst laws that was ever promulgated in the United States was the Sherman Antitrust Act. That was back in about 100 years ago. And it's based on a myth, and if I may, I want people to understand this, because that one of the myths that all school children are learning today, and it's been happening for 30, 40 years, is the myth of the robber baron. That people like Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie and J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller were greedy, monopolists that hurt the poor. Wait a minute. These are the people who built America. These are the people. And by the way, everything from car prices to steel prices to financial service prices to the railroad prices, all of those fell because of these incredible, capitalists. And that's not a derogatory term. They built this country, and they made all these products, like Henry Ford made the automobile affordable to middle-class Americans. And the same thing with steel, the financial services. So how in the world are these people monopolists and robber barons when they did more to build the middle class in this country? And that's still true today. I mean, I see that one of the cases they're bringing, this Lena Khan. By the way, she's a very smart lady. She's, I think, 38 years old. She's never worked a day in her life. She's been a university professor, and she's telling businesses, Dan, how to run their business when she's never even worked in the private sector, let alone run a business. And so now the latest is they're going after the Apple iPhone. Did you know, Amy, that the iPhone is a monopoly?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Well, this has long been Krakajuia's hobby horse, right? That you have to choose the apps or the phones, and this. I mean, she's been railing on about that for years, and now she's got Lena Khan to do her bidding.
Yes, and so what's happening here? I mean, look. First of all, there's a lot of competition. And do you remember, I mean, Dan, you and I are a little older than Amy, but you remember the first cell phone was like the Motorola cell. I think those were even made in Illinois. And, you've got many, many generations of cell phones now. The first cell phones, which came out, about 35, 40 years ago, those were like a brick, that got
I still
terrible
have
reception.
mine. I still have all my cell phones. I have that, then the flip phone, and then the one where you pulled the antenna up. And yeah, the first cell phone call was made in Chicago suburbs.
How about even more recently, the BlackBerry? There's a good movie about that, actually, the rise and fall. Yeah,
that was a great movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, by the way, I still have a drawer full of BlackBerries because I love the keyboard on the Black. Like most people, I do have an iPhone, but I don't like I'm always misspelling things because I can't do the typing that well, and I love the BlackBerry. But, my point is you've seen so many generations of cell phones. They used to cost $3,000. Now you can get an iPhone for, I don't know what they cost now, $200. But they're much, they provide much better service. What's that?
200, 600 maybe for an iPhone.
Okay.
The new iPhone 15?
Well, it depends on what model.
Well, Steve Moore still has the flip phone. That's why he hasn't updated his pricing. But let me play devil's advocate. By the way, just since you brought up robber barons, a great book by Burton Folsom called The Myth of the Robber Barons. Yeah, if anybody wants to check that out after they're done watching the BlackBerry movie. What?
Yeah, kids are learning this day after day for the last 50 years that these people who are great empire builders and made America great are the villains of the story.
No, I get it.
How does that happen?
I get it. But so let me put this to you though too. I want you to explain this to conservatives. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and if we can use Lena Khan as a blunt instrument to get at these noxious big tech companies that are manipulating elections and addicting teenagers to destructive social media platforms, then why not?
Because look, because I believe in freedom of choice, and if you believe that that Google and Facebook and all these others are against conservatives and they're discriminating against you and taking you down, then you have a good option. Just turn the damn thing off. Don't use it. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying you have to use Google or you have to use Facebook or you have to use, Instagram or whatever these are. And do they discriminate against conservatives? Yes, they do. And I know a lot of your listeners are probably angry about that tech firm. So my point of view is, they built, by the way, Google built its platform. It should be able to put whatever it wants on its platform. Apple should be able to put whatever apps it wants. Why should the government tell Apple, a private company, what they have to put on their phone? I mean, it's a violation of their private property rights. Don't we believe in that, Dan?
I hear you. I just wanted you to explain it because sometimes we forget we fall into the trap of the other side to say, well, I want to get to my enemy by any means necessary, and you set precedents that you regret.
To do it.
Yeah, right.
What they're
right.
forgetting, Dan, is that the biggest enemy, is big government. I mean, I regard because the big government can take away things. Nobody can force me at Apple to do anything, but you know what? The government can.
Right. Speaking of monopolies, the monopoly of force is where we should be focused. I agree. We mentioned this earlier
By the way, you know what the worst monopoly in the United States is?
What? Ma Bell.
No.
Talk about dating yourself. Yeah.
They got rid of that monopoly.
I know. I remember that.
What am I talking about, Dan? Come on. What's the most vicious,
government.
Violent, destructive? What part of government?
The Fed.
No.
Oh.
The public school system is a monopoly.
Yeah, I was going to say
but
destroying our children.
The Department of Education.
I want to see Lena Khan go after the public school monopoly, which is spending twice as much as they should and not educating our kids. Let's have total freedom in education. That's what I'm for.
Well, I agree with that. Speaking of people making choices, I mentioned this earlier in the show, but we'll get a little distillation from you on it. Since Joe Biden took office, 3.7 million Americans have moved from counties that went for Joe Biden to counties that went for Donald Trump. That's something.
Yeah, and guess what? One of the big counties that's losing population is Cook County. And, people are moving away from big blue cities that are just so mismanaged and because of the crime, the taxes, all of these things. And so they're moving to, look at people moving to Texas, Florida, all these counties, especially in the South. And, one other quick thing, because I know we're running out of time. One of the big stories of America was after the Civil War for the next 100 years or so, black Americans moved out of the South, which was racist, and moved where? To cities like Chicago and Detroit and Milwaukee. And so that was the Great Migration. Guess what's happening now? Blacks are leaving the northern cities, and they're moving back to the South. By the way, I thought the South was a racist region. I thought they hated minorities.
Right. Yes. The great migration in reverse, which is
exactly.
Hey, absolutely. Nothing is more of an indictment.
Who are the biggest victims of all these progressive policies? Like, well, we're not going to fight crime and we're going to raise tax. It's minority Americans and poor Americans who are the victims of these stupid policies that you're putting in place in Chicago. I'm so sick of these, upper class, my liberal upper class friends. Oh, we do this to help the poor. You're not helping the poor.
Steve Moore, Govzilla author and economist. Steve, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, have a great week. Take care. Happy Easter. Bye.
Thanks. You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
I can't wait to do it. Take Balance of Nature. I do it every single day. 3 vegetable capsules, 3 fruit capsules, and I'm ready to go. Why? That's 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real nutrition. So get the nutrition that your body needs because you did not have enough fruits and veggies yesterday. So here's what you do. Call this number and then start feeling good that you're doing something for yourself. The number is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to use discount code Chicago.
If you're purchasing investment properties and having challenges securing a mortgage, you need to call Team Hochberg about a debt service coverage ratio loan. DSCR loans allow investors to purchase investment properties solely based upon the property's cash flow, not the personal income of the buyer. DCSR loans opens doors for investors who have trouble securing a mortgage via traditional route of supplying 2 years of tax returns, W-2s, and pay stubs. The three qualifying factors are the borrower's credit scores, down payment, and cash flow of the property. If you're an investor interested in purchasing rental properties and have been turned down or are having challenges securing a mortgage, you need to call Team Hochberg now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com for information about DSCR loans. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Are you ready to embark upon an unforgettable expedition this summer? I hope you'll join me, Mike Gallagher, along with Dr. Sebastian Gorka and our special guests on the Patriots Alaska Cruise. We'll unpack the trends and influences shaping our world today while sailing the pristine coast of Alaska over 4th of July. Learn more at patriotsalaskacruise.com. This experience is way more than a vacation. It's a chance to participate in spirited discussions and thought-provoking lectures on board the ship with like-minded patriots. 7 action-packed days will chart a course toward a bright American future, all while surrounded by Alaska's rustic and natural wonders on a beautiful luxury cruise ship. You'll experience powerful creation immersed in the splendor of glaciers and fjords. Mark your calendar, June 29th, July the 6th. Secure your cabin by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at patriotsalaskacruise.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, have you seen the new NFL kickoff?
Yeah, I heard about it. I'm trying to visualize it, but I haven't. Did they demonstrate what it's going to be?
Yeah. So the kicking team still kicks from their own 30-yard line.
Okay.
And the receiving team, you still got a guy back by the end zone, but then the kickoff team's coverage team is at the 35 of the receiving team. And the receiving team's blocking line is one line at the 30-yard line. So you've only got you've got 5 yards between the kickoff team and the receiving team in terms of the blockers and the tacklers. And then you've only got about 30 yards between the kickoff coverage team and the kick returner. So this is obviously all to minimize collisions on kickoffs.
Right.
I mean, it's just
changing the rules again. Once again,
I think it's lame. I mean, the quarterback rule, that the head touching stuff, it's bad enough. It's bad enough in March Madness. You see it in March Madness with these forever reviews of potential flagrant unfouls in case somebody brushes another player's hair. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's totally taking something away from the game. And with respect to football, I mean, you might as well, as people predicted, just go to flag football at this point.
Don't fix what's not broken. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk POTUS politics with former Wisconsin Governor, now Young America's Foundation President, Scott Walker.
Clear and chilly, a high of 45 degrees. It is now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
They still haven't found 6 bridge collapse victims in Baltimore. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They are presumed dead now.
I spent a good part of yesterday with the families, praying with them,
praying for them and praying for their peace.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore just told Fox divers will keep working to find the construction workers in a recovery mission, but it'll take a long time to rebuild the bridge.
The economic impact that this is having, not just on the state of Maryland, but on the entire country, is staggering. We're talking about a port that's responsible for over 51 million tons of foreign cargo. That's the largest in the country.
The National Transportation Safety Board has the voyage data recorder from the cargo ship that crashed into the bridge, trying to determine what went wrong and why. Texas's controversial border law remains blocked. A federal appeals court extended its hold on the law as the federal government calls it an overreach into immigration authority. Texas's Republican governor says they have the right to stop an invasion, with the law allowing police to arrest migrants who cross the border illegally. The Trump campaign's angry. A judge in New York City issued a gag order before the former president's first criminal trial, claiming it unconstitutionally blocks his free speech rights.
He's not allowed to make public statements about witnesses, court staff, jurors, and others in his case, with an upcoming trial date set for April 15th. The former president's charged with filing false business records when he reimbursed his then personal attorney for hush money payments to an adult film star who alleged an affair.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal and other Republicans been taken off the air. NBC News is dropping Ronna McDaniel days after hiring the former Republican National Committee chair, which upset MSNBC viewers and hosts.
Many anchors sounding off in lockstep, including President Biden's former press secretary.
This is about truth versus lies.
Jen Psaki also warned democracy was in danger after McDaniel was hired. The chairman of NBC Universal issued a mea culpa while announcing the termination of McDaniel. Quote, "No organization, particularly a newsroom, can succeed unless it is cohesive and aligned."
That's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. America's listening to Fox News.
29 degrees. Skies are cloudy at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Cook County State's Attorney's race and the lead held by retired Judge Eileen O'Neill Burke continues to hold as Chicago election officials counted 2,746 mail-in ballots and Cook County officials counting 3,500 mail and provisional ballots under intense pressure Monday. Only about 300 votes, according to the Associated Press, were reviewed Tuesday. Vote-by-mail ballots cast in nursing homes and congregate care facilities will be open today, but it's unclear how many of those ballots will actually be added to unofficial totals. Chicago Department of Public Health is taking new steps to contain a citywide outbreak of measles. The state of Illinois so far has logged 31 cases of measles, marking the first time in nearly a decade. The state has seen cases in the double digits. Now, Chicago health officials want to encourage residents of a Pilsen area migrant shelter to receive a second dose of the MMR vaccine. 2 Chicago hospitals are accused of ignoring claims of former patients of a disgraced gynecologist. A lawsuit has been filed against Endeavor Health on behalf of 300 former patients of Dr. Fabio Ortega. Chicago sports found the Blackhawks over Calgary 3-1 last night. Bulls at the UC tonight taking on Indiana. Cubs wrap up spring ball with a 7-2 loss to the Cardinals, and they open up the regular season at Texas tomorrow, while the White Sox will get underway with a home game against the Tigers. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
More tech cutbacks. GoPro is cutting its total workforce by 4%. The wearable camera company isn't saying how many people are being let go. Its business has been slowing for about a year and a half. It's expected to launch several new products to revive demand. Rent the Runway's stock price has been sliding to under $1 a share, and now it's planning a 1-for-20 stock split to hold on to its listing on the NASDAQ. The fashion subscription company is not making a profit and has been cutting corporate staff. The stock split's planned for April 2nd. General Motors and Ford are planning to redirect their shipments to other East Coast ports because of the bridge collapse there, though they say the impact should be minimal. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
AM 560 news time is 8:05. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
I'm Dr. Michael Strasberg. I'm a dentist. I've been practicing for 44 years. In my practice, we talk to patients about their health, their nutrition. People think of the mouth as something separate from the rest of your body, but the healthier you are, the healthier your mouth is. You know, when you're younger, your mother would say, eat your fruits and vegetables. But as you get older, that sometimes gets shoved to the side. And Balance of Nature has been one of the best supplements to fill the void in the fruit and vegetable area. When I did this, I felt a noticeable difference. I felt better. Anytime you can feel better, I don't care what age you're at, you know, that's a big plus. I don't stuff anything down, anybody's mouth, but hey, this has worked for me. Why not try Balance of Nature? Simple, easy, take it, and it's going to help.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
8:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this traffic update is delivered by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Northwest side structure fire. Narragansett north of Montrose is blocked. McHenry, Route 120, that's Elm Street in McHenry, completely shut down between Oak and Crystal Lake Road due to an accident and investigation. Route 53, stop and go northbound between Euclid and Palatine Road. Delays on the outbound Bishop Ford between 111th and the Beaubien Woods Forest Preserve, that's Doty Avenue, due to an accident. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Couple of clouds around this morning, then some breaks of sun by the afternoon. Breezy and chilly, high 45. It'll be clear and cold tonight, low 29. A sunny, warmer day tomorrow, the high 51. Clouds and sun on Friday, the high 54. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Clouds at all of our reporting stations, 29 at O'Hare, 32 at Midway, 31 Lakefront. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Interesting piece in Boston Magazine about a poli-sci professor named Eitan Hirsch at Tufts University, who took it upon himself to construct a class for his students. He's a popular professor there. to construct a class for students at Tufts on modern conservative thought. He ran this by the poli-sci department. They okayed it. They just said one thing to him, said, well, you're going to have to build this course from scratch because we don't know of any course like this in American colleges, universities today. No, of course you don't. And interestingly, Hirsch, who's probably center-right, does not include any sort of opposing viewpoints. I mean, he's focused on conservative thought, the conservative movement and conservative thought associated with that movement in a modern context. Maybe say my guesses from reading this piece is maybe say like Bill Buckley's founding of National Review forward to present. And so he builds the class around sort of the controversial issues of the day in that context. But you can get the opposing viewpoints everywhere else, so he just focuses on the viewpoints that the kids have not been exposed to, which I think makes a lot of sense. The author who effectively audited the class for a few months to see how this proceeded. Outside of class, when I asked some students their top concerns, few mentioned traditionally liberal topics like climate change, the global rise of authoritarian governments, or supporting working people. Instead, they uniformly tell me they've arrived at Tufts with laser-like concern over rights, gay rights, trans rights, abortion rights. They believe more explicit rights will protect oppressed classes, which would go a long way toward making the United States a safer place for all people. So this is what you're dealing with. To borrow from Rush, minds full of mush. That's what this is. That's even at Tufts, which is a reputedly prestigious university. They have been trained to look at everything through the prism of oppressed versus oppressor. It's hard to shake them, but when you start having to confront the intellectual heft of, say, a Glenn Lowry, our friend, the econ professor at Brown University, and his essay on the case for black patriotism, well, then now you got to get your wheels turning a little bit. Let's just see how strong those muscles between your ears really are. And it's interesting because the author of the piece, who is pretty clearly sympathetic to where the undergrads at Tufts start, meaning all this manufactured rights business through the oppressed-oppressor lens, basically comes to the conclusion, well, let me read his concluding paragraph. He writes, is Hirsch planting the seeds of a new liberalism, an ideology that is more concerned with positive outcomes than righting historical wrongs? Significantly, this new liberalism could take hold if younger people are given access to a full range of ideologies and perspectives. In other words, maybe, just maybe, Hirsch is onto something. And it's amazing to me because this is like a 2,000-word think piece for Boston Magazine, as you would expect from an outlet like this. The headline is A Radical Experiment at Tufts. And what's called a radical experiment is presenting opposing viewpoints. That's radical on college campuses now. But presenting Glenn Lowry's work. Oh, my gosh. Wow, you are really coloring outside the lines now. Boy, look at you. But it's indicative of how far academia has fallen when it comes to the idea that a campus should be a free marketplace of ideas. That actually putting meaning to that phrase at Tufts is so controversial. But all that said, I appreciate that Professor Hirsch designed the class and is making the effort. Perhaps it will spur others to do similarly. For more on this, and we'll level up and talk a little POTUS politics, please be joined by former Wisconsin governor and now the president and CEO of the Young America's Foundation. He is Scott Walker. Scott, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Great to be with you.
You look for green shoots when you talk about what's happening on college campuses. Maybe this course at Tufts is one such green shoot?
Yeah, I hope so. Although I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop to tell me that they were treating it like an archaeological dig, that they were thinking, what exactly is up with these so-called conservatives?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly, just when we bring lectures at Young America's Foundation, YF.org, if people are interested, we have the largest campus conservative lecture series in America. And it's always amazing to me that on these, like you say, many of these prestigious schools will talk this great talk, and then when we bring in, even just a slightly right of center lecturer, they go completely bonkers, as though people are going to be threatened, their safety is concerned, and it's because they just haven't ever been challenged on any of this stuff. It's not even just left and center; they're outright, Marxist in many cases, and so to have a little bit different of opinion being expressed on campus is sadly all too often a shocking thing. It's guaranteed by the Constitution, at least at public institutions. It should be revered at all colleges and universities.
But no one wants their feelings hurt anymore.
Well, they bought into this false belief you were just referencing too, that somehow we need to have special protections out there. No, we need to have, people should have, all of us should have freedom, not just this class, that class, whatever class. No, we all have rights that are given to us not by the government but by God. And if we have governments at all levels, starting at our federal level all the way through down to the local level, that uphold those rights in a republic, not a democracy, but in a republic, it shouldn't matter whether you're black or white, young or old, gay or straight. It shouldn't matter any of those things. In a society such as that, the one that our Declaration of Independence spelled out, that's when we're all protected, and then it's up to us to do what we want to do with that, the individual. People always ask, what's the difference between a conservative and a liberal? I said, simply put, conservatives believe in you, liberals believe in the government, and that's where people have to make a choice. Do you want the government dictating your life, or do you want to do it?
Well, it's the reason that Professor Hirsch's course is important, and the new School for Civic Life that's being stood up in North Carolina, and these other one-offs, I have to say, but I mean, you have these kids at Tufts who've never been challenged until they took Hirsch's class, and then they go on to be like reporters for Politico, like, since you just mentioned the source of our rights, Heidi Przybyla, who famously talked about white nationalists a few weeks ago, and you have to understand. I think it was on Morning Joe or some other ghastly show like that. You have to understand, there's these white nationalists. They believe, wait for it, they believe our rights come from God, not the government. I mean, this is somebody, she's saying this incredulously. She got an advanced degree from Michigan State University. And she clearly, the idea that our rights come from God, which is explicitly enshrined in our founding documents, clearly that is something she has never read, never contemplated, and never heard argued.
Yeah, you're right. With North Carolina, you referenced that as well. North Carolina, there's a bill up that I actually think is a wonderful thing all across the country that said for every public institution of higher education, there was a statewide requirement that at least 3 credit hours for everyone who wants to graduate had to be in a course that taught, didn't even say how you had to teach it, just that it was taught, that included as a part of their lessons reading the Constitution, reading the Declaration of Independence, reading other important documents like the Emancipation Proclamation, the letter from Birmingham Jail, at least 5 of the Federalist Papers. You know what? Nearly 700 tenured professors at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill alone, wrote a letter in protest because they don't want students reading those things, because students might realize, hey, you know what? These founders, despite some of their personal flaws, were actually pretty brilliant. They spelled out something that was pretty remarkable. They want to be the conduit through which these young people get things. And that's where you end up with so-called experts not even getting that our founding is based on the principle that God, not the government, gives us those rights.
I wanted to, by the way, there is this survey out that points to this conversation as well. We should incorporate that. We've seen a lot of evidence to suggest that these college campuses are places of particular intolerance, and that these kids that have been indoctrinated at totalitarian re-education camps at the K through 12 level are bringing that to college campus, including the most prestigious colleges, reputedly. But we find from a recent survey that there's actually a good bit of support for free speech and free thought among college students. I mean, it's still not where it should be, which is at 100%, but it's not. Maybe it's not as dire as sometimes we're led to believe.
Yeah, I think there's waves out there, and as people see on the left and on the right, that if you take away the free ability, the ability in a free society to speak out, to say what you want to say, that's at risk whether you're on the right or the left. I think for a while there was this push, and there are still some out there that somehow think, that something I disagree with should somehow not be said because it's uncomfortable or uneasy. I think it's been eye-opening. Certainly, unfortunately, even though the survey shows better results among students, you still see the administrators, like we saw at Penn and Harvard and MIT and others out there, where on one hand they try and shut down speakers like ours at Young America's Foundation, while the flips and they say, well, that's not free speech. That's about protecting the feelings of certain groups that might be offended by this, versus say when Jewish students were literally targeted over the last few months on some of these campuses. Oh, we can't do anything about that because that's free speech. But I think the students are starting to get it. I think they're starting to see the extreme. I think things like Elon Musk taking over Twitter, now X, have helped tremendously, because if we just start leveling the playing field and people like him making the case that, free speech is actually a good thing, I think that has had an impact, and why you start to see the tide shift at least a little bit with younger people.
We had this discussion earlier. I'd like you to weigh in on it. We're talking about Ronna McDaniel's very, very brief status as a NBC News contributor.
3 days.
And I mean, I find Ronna McDaniel to be a woefully ineffective communicator. Both her performance on Meet the Press this past Sunday was more testimony to that. But the larger point is why? Why is Ronna McDaniel want to follow in the footsteps of Michael Steele? Why do Republicans and conservatives, why are they constantly pulling the shirt tails of antagonistic, really hateful, spiteful leftist media to provide any legitimacy to those platforms? They ignore legitimate conservatives. They just want Republicans that are going to defecate on the Republican Party, and Trump in particular. And yet we still run to them and say, oh, let's co-sponsor this debate. The point that Ramaswamy made in the debate to Kristen Welker in no uncertain terms. Oh, please, let's have us on. Oh, I'm happy to come on this week until Stephanopoulos disgraces himself in that interview with Nancy Mace. Now all of a sudden Nancy Mace isn't coming on and Republicans aren't coming on this week. What does it take to get through? Stop aiding and abetting your enemy. And the D.C. press corps, these old corporate outlets, are the enemy of the Republican Party and the conservative movement.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think there should be, for example, the debate, completely different format. Don't go with traditional outlets. Shake things up. People are going to tune in because of content, not because of broadcast. And I think it's shocking. Remember, years ago, in fact, the second debate in the 2016 cycle, I was sitting on the stage next to people like Donald Trump and Ben Carson and then Jeb Bush, thinking, why would we give somebody a platform like that who's so clearly has disdain for not just conservatives, but for primary voters out there? I just think it's obnoxious. But it is amazing to me that the same network that gives the woman who defended the lies that Joe Biden said about Russian collusion and his campaign said lies about the border being secure, is suddenly now upset about someone like Ronna McDaniel that being on it. The hypocrisy is breathtaking, and we shouldn't give them any more time.
Well, Governor, don't you think it's a form of censorship, too? I mean, they have no real Republicans with an opposing opinion.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think it's an eye-opener. I'll occasionally go on conflicting networks myself, but I don't do what sadly you've seen with too many of these, and that is just lay down their ideas, not say what they would say. Networks. You watch me on Fox or any other network, I'm going to say the same thing the same way every instance. And sadly, a lot of these networks, as you said, want Republicans to come on and say, well, when I said this, I was really forced to, or when I said this, I really didn't mean that. No. They need to hear the truth. They need to understand what people are saying. I remember for years confronting Chuck Todd. In fact, once he was in Waukesha, Wisconsin, not too far from where my mother lives, and this was right before the 2022 election. And he asked me, in the midst of this long debate, this long interview about Ron Johnson and other things going on, he asked me about January 6th, and I said, walk around this park. There's not a one person in this park at this moment who cares about January 6th a year and a half after it happened. And he was still obsessed with it. That's what you get out of many of these corporate elites.
Scott Walker is the former governor of Wisconsin, of course, president and CEO of Young America's Foundation, which, by the way, back in the day when Rob Robinson was the president, I used it, back in the Stone Age when I went to Northwestern to bring in, at the time, speakers like Dinesh D'Souza, who was just coming to the fore, Bill Bennett, and others. So Young America's Foundation is a great organization to get conservative speakers on campus. If your sons and daughters are on college campuses, they want to do what Professor Hirsch is doing at Tufts, which is to avail their fellow students of conservative ideas, then Young America's Foundation is a good place to start. Scott, thanks so much for joining.
YF.org, we'd love to have them.
YAF.org, YAF.org. Scott, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Grubhub Holdings Incorporated seeks Analyst 2 procurement in Chicago, Illinois to request AP spend files and key invoices across all entities within Grubhub Holdings Incorporated. Telecommuting permitted within MSA. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com. Reference number 37536. Again, Grubhub Holdings Incorporated seeks Analyst 2 procurement in Chicago, Illinois. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com. Reference number 37536.
I'm Dr. Michael Strasberg. I'm a dentist. I've been practicing for 44 years. In my practice, we talk to patients about their health, their nutrition. People think of the mouth as something separate from the rest of your body, but the healthier you are, the healthier your mouth is. When you're younger, your mother would say, eat your fruits and vegetables. But as you get older, that sometimes gets shoved to the side. And Balance of Nature has been one of the best supplements to fill the void in the fruit and vegetable area. When I did this, I felt a noticeable difference. I felt better. Anytime you can feel better, I don't care what age you're at, that's a big plus. I don't stuff anything down, anybody's mouth, but hey, this has worked for me. Why not try Balance of Nature? Simple, easy, take it, and it's going to help.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in silo departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Governor Pritzker's State Board of Education policy is that public schools can socially transition and counsel children that they are a sex other than their biological sex without telling their parents. Send a message to Springfield that we will not allow the government to make decisions for our children without parental consent. Help Parents Matter Coalition get an advisory question on the 2024 ballot about parental rights. Visit parentsmattercoalition.org to get involved now. That's parentsmattercoalition.org. Paid for by the Parents Matter Coalition.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We haven't talked to Willie Wilson in a while. We're going to remedy that at 8:38. He's taken up a new cause as well. He wrote an op-ed in the Tribune about it. the sexual exploitation of children in Chicago and in Chicago institutions like, say, the Chicago Public Schools. We'll start there with Willie Wilson at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Cloudy skies, 29 degrees. The Israeli military says around 30 rockets were launched from Lebanon toward northern Israel this morning. Hezbollah taking responsibility. At least 5 were killed this morning when a bus headed from Berlin to Switzerland rolled off a highway in eastern Germany, ending up on its side. The accident happened near Leipzig. At about 9:45 in the morning, the road remained shut down. The search resumes this morning for 6 presumed dead after a cargo ship hit a major Maryland bridge.
We don't have any indication of that now, and part of that really is because of the heroic work of the first responders who were able to clear people as quickly as possible and get them off. But we do not have any indication as of right now of individual citizens that were caught in this.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore, officials saying that maritime traffic through the port is being suspended until further notice. According to the Coast Guard, much of that now is being diverted to the Port of Virginia. GM and other automakers do not expect any major disruptions, at least right now, due to the Baltimore port closure. A federal appeals court is extending a hold on a Texas law that would give the state the power to arrest migrants suspected of crossing the border illegally. The 2-1 ruling maintains a block on that law. More than $1 billion worth of Mega Millions lottery ticket. It was sold in New Jersey, 5th largest jackpot ever. Chicago Department of Public Health taking new steps today to try and contain a citywide outbreak of measles. State of Illinois so far confirming 31 cases of measles, marking the first time in nearly a decade that the state is seeing cases in the double digits. A Pilsen area migrant shelter will now receive, or those inside will receive, a second dose of the MMR vaccine. More than 2,200 Chicago Park District workers leaning towards staging a strike. Their union, SEIU Local 73, plans to hand a petition to Mayor Brandon Johnson asking him to get involved in the contract talks. A vote on a strike is set for next week. Chicago sports. Jason Dickinson, a pair of goals, 20 on the year now, as the Blackhawks beat Calgary 3-1. Bulls take on the Pacers tonight. Cubs wrap up spring training with a 7-2 loss to the Cardinals. They open up the regular season at Texas tomorrow, while the White Sox get underway with a home game against the Tigers. The news is a service of Morcus Chocolates in Palatine. It's the one stop for handmade Easter goodies like their classic chocolate bunny, golfer bunny, crosses, jelly beans, and baskets galore. Stores in Palatine, Huntley, and Cedar Lake, Indiana. Or shop online at morcuschocolates.com, MORKES chocolates.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
For the past 8 years, AM 560 has welcomed Dennis Prager to Chicago for a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, on Thursday, May 23rd, we welcome Dennis back for one final cigar night. Presented by Control Point Engineering. Join Dennis, Dan Proft, and Sean Thompson for a night you won't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Don, can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's SPECTRIOS.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Listen, with everything happening in our world today, it can all feel so complicated. But maintaining your home shouldn't be. For 53 years, Tyson Roofing has been primarily serving DeKalb, Kane, and Ogle counties with industry-leading quality and professionalism, priding ourselves on always using our employees and never subcontractors. In times of uncertainty, you can trust your most important asset to us. Tyson Roofing is a third-generation family-owned and operated company in DeKalb County. We've been a community standard, specializing in residential exterior maintenance since 1971. If you're in the market for a new roof or repair, fresh siding, or need to update your gutters, check us out online at TysonRoofing.com. Spelled THEISEN roofing.com. Or call us at 815-758-8998. That's 815-758-8998. Or TysonRoofing.com. 815-758-8998.
8:36. Let's get a check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of ExpressPros.com. Express Employment Professionals help you hire for contract or full-time jobs. Go to ExpressPros.com to find the location near you. That's ExpressPros.com. Inbound on the Ike, report of an accident at Harlem Avenue, and travel times are increasing between Manheim and the old post office. Stevenson inbound doing fine. 25 in from the Tri-State to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Spin out on I-57. It's on the outbound side at Volmer Road. Bishop Ford inbound, the center lane blocked with debris. That's inbound at 130th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, chilly and abundant sunshine. High of 45, clear and cold, low 29 overnight, but we'll stay cloudy through the morning. 29 right now at O'Hare, 30 at Midway, 28 in Aurora, 31 in Joliet, 30 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Samuel Say is a Ghanaian, Canadian Christian writer and preacher. I think he's in Ohio now. But anyway, he tweeted out, "I had to discipline my son tonight. It's not the first time, but I'm heartbroken. It's necessary, but I hate it so much. It's especially difficult since he's such a good boy. He's such an easy boy to parent, but he's still a sinner, and since I love him, I must discipline him." His son is 4 months old, and...
Ooh. 4 months? They don't know what they're doing at 4 months, but okay, that's his business.
Yeah, thank you for playing into the left on this.
Well, Dan, I've had a 4-month-old. A 4-month-old? What did he do at 4 months?
Oh, what did he do? Oh, that's the question you're supposed to ask. Right. But instead, because he's a Christian, the leftist mafia that's so good at managing the lives of others called authorities and filed a complaint and said his kid should be taken away and excoriated him online and so on and so forth. So Samuel Say explained further. On that night, my son was unusually difficult. He was very sleepy, but though he had a clean diaper and a full belly, he wouldn't stop crying no matter how I held him. So I figured I should place him in his crib. I decided to let him cry in his crib momentarily, which was very hard for me. I was heartbroken knowing he wanted me to pick him up, but I thought it was necessary. Moments later, he fell asleep and stayed asleep until the morning. That's what my tweet was about. I hated hearing him cry in the crib. I wish I didn't have to do that. I love my son and I love rocking him to sleep, but I knew it was necessary. I was teaching him how to sleep on his own. That's all I assumed. That's all. I assume that kind of sleep training falls under the umbrella of quote-unquote discipline.
Oh, to me, that does not fall under the umbrella of discipline. That's
well, you're
called
not from
parenting.
You're
But
not
I'm
from
not
Ghana.
from Ghana. I don't know what his.
Yeah. But that's what the left does is we want to jump to it, especially because he's a Christian. So we assume that, it's Christians. All Christians are hypocrites, and that's where the abuse really takes place. Not the secular world. The secular humanists are all magical people who don't sin and who don't exploit children. It's the religious people that we have to worry about. This is the message you get everywhere in American society today. And it leads to these ignorant mobs that try and roust Samuel Say, to the extent of taking a tweet, 140 characters, without any context and without even considering, what do you mean by discipline? And calling authorities to go take his kid. This is what you're dealing with. Now, those same people will become aware of an expose done 6 years ago by the Tribune that details hundreds of credible claims of sexual abuse and assault in the Chicago public school system, confirmed by the Chicago Corp Counsel's office, and nothing happens. No one says anything. Process that dichotomy when you want a commentary on where America is these days culturally, and who are the problems and who are those that are living an example that perhaps should be emulated. For more on this, since he recently wrote on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by our old friend Willie Wilson, former mayoral candidate and candidate for other offices as well. Also a philanthropist and businessman, as you know. Willie Wilson's piece in the Tribune, "Protecting our kids from abuse must be our highest priority." Willie, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you guys, both. Dan, you and Amy, appreciate you. I'm my favorite guys,
So you picked up in the piece in the Tribune that you penned on this situation at CPS. So give us your perspective. I don't think we've talked about this. I think we actually did when you were a candidate, but let's get into more depth on it. So what is it? How can parents and clergy and other alleged stakeholders in the school system, how can everyone turn a blind eye to this? Where are the trial lawyers to sue CPS? Where's anybody saying anything except now you, after we spent years doing it?
Yeah. Well, one thing that the Chicago Public School is a situation that, look, the Inspector General got on him, but like it needs to be, in my opinion, as you read McCollum, should be, maybe the federal government should get involved. They have to report to them. I think the Chicago unions got to take on a lot of their responsibilities themselves too.
When the feds get done with P. Diddy, maybe they can take a look at CPS.
I agree. I agree with it totally, 100%. Now it goes further than just the CPS, as you know. You got stuff going on in the religion community, even in your own household, and those type of things there, and churches, the whole 9 yards. But the public school system should be investigated, and those people should be held accountable for them. The politics that they play. Look, our kid is the future of this whole country, and so I would like to see somebody just get in there and open this thing back up, investigate, do an audit of this whole situation without turning a blind eye to it. The mayor, he was I guess before he became mayor, he was Chicago Public School. I'm sure he's very aware of this too, and the governor too. So they should open up these investigations and start to prosecuting people and holding them accountable.
Well, they should prosecute, because I know some of them, they should be in jail. If they did that to any other kid outside of the school, they would be. So why do you think parents are sitting back and just watching this happen?
I think, in my opinion, on some of the areas, I just think that a lot of the parents are depressed and trying to make a living with the inflation and things of that nature, and hold a job and trying to pay bills, trying to buy food and things of that nature. So much occupied, and they're depressed. They don't come out and vote. The politicians keep raising taxes. Just don't know what to do. And then I think also that the parents, kind of like saying, what the use going into it? We're going to lose anyway. Nobody pay attention to us, So I think it's a matter of a combination of all of this kind of situation going on. You got crime, high, and everything else. They got so many things on their mind. Now, I'm in church like every Sunday, 2 or 3 churches Sunday. I speak at church and sing around the country. And it's a lot of people out there, the kids, even the parents. And I every Sunday when I'm speaking or singing, how many people in here have thought about committing suicide? I mean, y'all see the hands goes up. Ever thought about past or present committing suicide? That's a depression. People just depressed. So a lot of these things here that should be taken care of by these politicians, they ought to take focus on that just like they focus on illegal immigrants, raising money and doing stuff that way. That they just all mix up,
Well, so on the on this depression that allegedly paralyzes parents from, I don't know, reporting incidents of sexual abuse of their children. Boy, I don't know about that. Is that the same reason that nobody kicked up any dust over the tax credit scholarship program and going away, and 10,000 families whose kids were on scholarship set to lose those scholarships, and another 30,000 families that were on the waiting list that will not get those scholarships? I mean, that's a lot of people invested in a better education for their kids that just lost that investment, and I don't hear anything about that either.
Well, I wrote about that in one of my columns. They stood by. Now, I acted the union killed that, in my opinion, because I do recall that the governor did say that they bring it to me. They bring it to me. I was signing the bill.
Pritzker was lying. Yeah. He knew he would get killed. That's a lie. So I mean, forget who killed it. You know who killed it. Chris Welch did the bidding of J.B. Pritzker. That's how it got killed. So where are the parents where are the parents out going out to Proviso Township to give it to Chris Welch? Where are they out giving it to Governor Pritzker? Where are they out making their case? I didn't see it.
No, they're not. And these guys control politics, controls our lives, and people of that nature. I believe they just beat us down until people don't even want to come out and vote no more. It's just that depression. But them kids is a whole new thing. It's a whole new thing. And I don't know how you deal with it in terms of really prosecuting these jokers, But I would encourage the parents and everybody else, or some small committees from the community, some just get out and start to put something together and raise these issues and get concerned about them, because they are serious issues. But I did how to find where to start with all this politics and things of that nature. And politicians need to be prosecuted themselves, be honest with you, Dan.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.
So, Dr. Willie Wilson, what are you hearing from the people in your church and your community about the migrant situation?
Terrible. I mean, like we are there. I'm also mad about it, be honest with you. I've been writing about that too. The bottom line is that, look, the people in the community need help. These are the people who pay taxes. These are the people that voted them into office. Now you got illegal, I'm putting illegal there, come into the country and get, health care, get money for all of these different things taken from the resource and leaving them hanging out. That ain't going to never go away, in my opinion. This is sad. And for the mayor and also for the governor to raise this kind of money, millions and millions of dollars to help that cause, and leading the people out of office, leading the people in the community, that is, are out in the street. People got to move out the shelter and let other people come in there, not from the country. It's sickness and sadness. It defies common sense.
Well,
so if it ain't common sense, I don't know what it is. I ain't got an answer for it. It's not a word, not even a dictionary.
And it's also another situation, going back to the general theme of our conversation, of the exploitation of children. I mean, that's what the city and the county and the state are doing. They're facilitating the exploitation of children, from human smugglers and drug cartels to herding them into these makeshift shelters where a 5-year-old gets sick and dies. How is that not the exploitation of children?
Well, I totally agree with you. You know, these and the other thing is too is that, look, when COVID-19 hit, I mean, but look, they bring these illegal immigrant comes in, nobody check them out in terms of health care or nothing. Now you got the measles outbreak. Most of them, from my understanding, is come out of the immigrant department there. I mean, where they staying at. Nobody checks on them. They can go to the airport and just about get on whatever flight they want to get on, go whatever they got to do.
Yep.
I just don't have an answer for it. The politicians have lost it. They violate the Constitution. You can't go in any country. In China, I've been around the world 4 times at least. I need visa and things like that to get into the country. But America let people come in, not even check them out. People who they know is the number one enemy overseas coming to this country, not checking them out, and say nothing. And then the sanctuary city, they wouldn't even allow to get on, as you know, on the ballot for the people to vote whether Chicago should be a sanctuary city or not. Mm-hmm. You know, so these things here, I've been trying to figure out in my mind, what do you call it? It's a disease that is unknown somewhere. Where people thinking this ain't human, you know?
Yeah, it's the Stockholm syndrome, and it's Stockholm, and you're identifying with the barbarians who are your captors. But the speaking of the ballot, the Cook County State's Attorney's race, what is your take on that? A very methodical counting, taking their sweet time, because no vote shall be counted until it's time in Cook County. And whether the outcome of the race matters in terms of Harris or Burke, either one, any prospect in your view for improvement when it comes to removing repeat violent offenders from the streets?
Well, we already know we got some violence on the street. Yeah, you have to enforce these laws. I've stated, as you know, when I was running, that you got to take some of the restrictions off the particular our police officer and let them do their job. And I understand the pros and cons on both sides of it, you know. But you commit a crime, you must be held accountable for it. Otherwise, people get out here and kill other people and they don't even be accountable, and they just still walk and nobody catching nobody.
So either Harris or Burke, are they going to change anything? Is anything going to be different than it was under Fox?
I sure hope that thing will be different. I don't know much about now. Want to be honest with you, no more than from their background, what they have said. Nobody really came out into the community. I didn't see anybody in my circle where I came out and talked and even asked questions. Be honest with you, Dan. I didn't see none of them. What I think they're going to do any good or not, I didn't change in terms of what's going on now. I have no idea because we haven't been able to talk to nobody. Don't know their background about everything. Just to act to do it. Come out and talk like we did when we was mayor. We was out in the community all the time and had people ask questions and everything else. We got to know a little bit about them, but this hasn't happened in this case. I really don't know on this one.
Well, so Clayton Harris Clayton Harris III, excuse me, didn't reach out to speak in front of your congregation or anything?
I haven't seen him myself personally, period. Look, I have not seen him. I mean, the people reached out to me to talk to me about terms of endorsement, and I just didn't do anything in that way because I didn't know What about them? I mean, to me, you have to explain and come out and talk and then tell you what your agendas are and things of that nature. I be in the church all the time, but I haven't seen him myself. I don't mean that he haven't been out here, but it would mean that I have not seen him, and I am in the heart of these churches all of the time. I just haven't seen it.
Well, I guess
I don't want to depart it.
Yeah, well, I guess when you say, as Clayton Harris did, that he would give Kim Foxx an A grade for her performance over the last 8 years, I guess you really don't need to say anything more after that. Willie Wilson, a humanitarian and businessman, of course. Willie, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You know, daily stress is such a big deal. Fact is, the terrible impact of stress is very deadly and shortens our lives. Stress attracts diseases just like blood in the water attracts sharks. And for over 40 years on Chicago radio, we continue to share practical concepts from a natural healthcare perspective to help minimize your need for all those dangerous drugs and risky surgeries. So today, it's our dirt cheap adrenal stress index test. No blood, just spit. Now, most people don't do so well on their first go around signaling adrenal gland distress. And then they follow our stress busting strategies and pass their second test with flying colors. So if you can spare a little spit, call for your dirt cheap adrenal stress index test, and we will hold that same special low price for your follow-up test. Just call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. That's 800-794-1855.
Oh, the rain the last few days. How's your basement doing? If not well, or your crawl space, call our good friends at Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. The best time to call them is in between storms, and they can help you out so that you won't have water in your basement or your crawl space. How's your sump pump? Hey, how's your backup sump pump? All important things, especially, too, if the power goes out. They've been in business for almost 50 years. Roy Spencer, family-owned and operated. They're the best. Call them for a free estimate. 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or online at permaseal.net.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Governor Pritzker's State Board of Education policy is that public schools can socially transition and counsel children that they are a sex other than their biological sex without telling their parents. Send a message to Springfield that we will not allow the government to make decisions for our children without parental consent. Help Parents Matter Coalition get an advisory question on the 2024 ballot about parental rights. Visit parentsmattercoalition.org to get involved now. That's parentsmattercoalition.org. Paid for by the Parents Matter Coalition.
I'm Dr. Michael Strasberg. I'm a dentist. I've been practicing for 44 years. In my practice, we talk to patients about their health, their nutrition. People think of the mouth as something separate from the rest of your body, but the healthier you are, the healthier your mouth is. You know, when you're younger, your mother would say, eat your fruits and vegetables. But as you get older, that sometimes gets shoved to the side. And Balance of Nature has been one of the best supplements to fill the void in the fruit and vegetable area. When I did this, I felt a noticeable difference. I felt better. Anytime you can feel better, I don't care what age you're at, you know, that's a big plus. I don't stuff anything down, anybody's mouth, but hey, this has worked for me. Why not try Balance of Nature? Simple, easy, take it, and it's going to help.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Thank you so much for listening this morning. Thanks to Keith Conrad, who is in for Quinn McCarthy, and to Justin Kosick, the best technical producer in the world. Have a great day. And in this week of death and redemption. We pray for all of you, and we thank you all for listening and making us part of your lives. We really appreciate it. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
5 more measles cases confirmed in Chicago. Police say a group responsible for 14 robberies in 2 days is being sought.